because I can't remember them. So, yeah. Let's get this started. B3 GamingCast, episode 64. This is all of the noises.
Dropping shit.
Yeah, this is Janzer.
Podcast is falling apart.
It's always falling apart. Dude, I don't even know how it makes it
Only
from
literally.
1 week to the next. It's like a car made out of duct tape and cardboard boxes, pizza boxes.
Oh, yes, pizza boxes.
And broken cell phone cases that, you know, just... and urine. So, oh, jeez.
Urine.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Thinking about that old song now.
What?
Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the stage and they just don't care.
That's Phil Grundy. Philemon Grundy.
That's me.
Sorry, I might have some
like,
coughing going. But
is that like not Fat Albert? Because that's what made me think of, which might be racist.
No, that's
the racist one is Grammaton Triad.
Hi, I'm racist.
Yeah. He just outed himself.
It's because I'm black.
You mean pretty racist?
All black people are not Fat Albert? What? I didn't know that. Oh, now that's some background noise. Thank you.
They're also all Kanye West and Denzel and Samuel L. Jackson.
I wish I was Denzel.
And something else.
There actually was something with, I think, like Hannibal Buress. There was like a Hollywood, one of those red carpet affair type things, I think, is what it was. I think it was something like that. And he sent like a lookalike in his place that really didn't even look like him.
Yeah, Hannibal Buress, yep.
Yeah, well, he's a comedian.
The thing is, the guy was significantly taller than him.
Yeah.
A much more built physique, the guy looked like he actually could exercise.
Right.
More than Hannibal. Hannibal just looks like, nah, I don't need a gym. And yeah, one news thing did a full interview with him as Hannibal Buress. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You don't know what this dude looks like? Seriously?
Yeah. And that's more of just like stupidity than anything. That's less about, that's less about like, it's more like, do we actually know, because, and it's true. Sometimes like, I've seen this person in pictures before. Do we, people don't look exactly the same as they do in their pictures, it's just not exact sometimes, so they may not have that beard that they had, or they may have lost or gained some weight, or lighting is just different and they don't have that perfect angle anymore. So it's like, wait a second, you don't look quite the
degrees and layers of makeup.
Yeah, that too, exactly. So what the hell were we talking about?
Something. I don't know, but same thing happened to Samuel Jackson too. Some guy mistaken him in an interview, or some news person had it mistaken him for the guy that's in those All-State ads.
What? They're not even close to being the same. What the fuck?
So Samuel Jackson did not let that pass. He laid a fire under that guy.
Wow. Yeah, that guy was like the I'm trying to remember his name because he was in a like some kind of paramilitary. Dennis Haysbert, but I think he was in like a paramilitary group show that I used to watch, and I don't even remember the name of that show.
That got canceled. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
he was also the president in 24.
There you go. But
he was the president in 24. You're right.
Of that show. Was it the unit? The unit. That's it. I just looked it up right now.
Yeah, the unit.
The unit.
Dennis
that was pretty cool.
I think is his name.
That's correct. Yeah, that's what I was like, I think it's it, and then I looked it up right now. Sure enough. But yeah, the unit's actually pretty good. If anybody's interested in looking for, watching something that they haven't seen, it's kind of like tactical. There you go, Watusi. There you go. What? He said right there. I wasn't looking at the tab.
I will. We'll have to check it out because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
Where was that on again?
What? Either FX or
CBS.
Well, I saw it like later. I saw it way after its run. So I don't know who picked it up to like redo it, but I did not see it on CBS. That's for damn sure. So
yeah, it was on CBS from 2006 to 2009.
Yeah, I probably saw it like on either like iTunes or Apple TV, or there you go, Amazon maybe. Yeah, because I saw it because of my brother-in-law who was watching that, and I wouldn't really have taken him to like be interested in that kind of thing. He just likes good stuff, though. That's all it comes down to. Like he watched 24 and those kind of shows. So I never even watched 24. He saw The Wire. I never watched The Wire. I know it's really great, but I've never seen it.
You gotta watch The Wire.
Yeah, I know, but I think when it was running, I was probably just too busy with. Like,
I also
everything.
love The Wire.
Yeah, everybody
it's
fucking
still
likes The
available to
Wire.
watch,
Yeah, it's a failure on my part as a human being. I understand this. So
Hey, come on, let's be fair. It's not that bad. What is bad is that you still haven't seen Band of Brothers. That hurts me because I know
you
that
can
you
only
love
see that on HBO, though, right? Unless you buy it on DVD, and those are not reasonable options.
And
I can hate to break it to you, Graham, but I've never seen Band of Brothers either because it was only on HBO.
But see, I'm like heavy into history and World
this
War
is
II,
like this is Janzer shit.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And it's
stuff.
so good.
Yeah,
I should just send it to you.
I bet it's on Amazon. Let me look to see if it's on Amazon. Hi, we're doing a video game podcast. How are you? Meanwhile, we're just bullshitting and like finding out
bullshitting about racism in TV shows.
It's true. Graham's not actually racist, not that I'm aware of. And if he is, he hides it really well. So that's important. Just make sure you know how to hide your racism. That's the important part. So well, I like what Patrice O'Neill says. He's like, we've gotten to a point that rest in peace, Patrice O'Neill, great fucking crazy motherfucker, crazy, horrible, beautiful
also
human being. Yeah, he's a comedian too, but God, I loved his how he approached all. Anyways, he was so much a fucking artist. He so much was an artist that he allowed himself to not be successful because he knew it would sell himself out. Kind of weird talking about that stuff last night, Phil. In fact, anyways, the important part of it, he was like, most of us may not be racist, but we're racial. Meaning we see the differences and maybe we have some tendencies, but we're not going to outright go and say, hey, you blah, blah, whatever the hell, So, but we're very aware of it, So, anyways.
There's a lot of wisdom or, insight in that.
The guy was...
I can tell you, if you get the right comedians, they usually have... Between the jokes... You read between the lines, and you get a lot of information about real life.
What a lot of them, I don't know about.
That's what their comedy is based on.
Yeah, I think up to a certain point, a lot of them they worked extremely hard doing all of the little shows and road trip, all that stuff, before it became a lot easier doing these alt comedy clubs, which were kind of like, I'm afraid to get up on stage. And do this in front of a bunch of drunk people, but I will do this at Graham's house, right? And Graham's going to invite friends. That's like an alt comedy club, basically. Let's say Graham does that every Friday or something like that, So that's hey, that's way less pressure because you have an idea that these are people that want to see comedy. They're not just at the bar because they're at the bar, These are people that appreciate comedy most of the time, and they're usually younger people that want to see all this stuff. So the alt comedy scene really made it a lot easier. I'm sorry, I don't know why. Comedy's a big thing for me too. I really like comedy, but okay, all right. So what do we got? Just Cause 3 finally getting official multiplayer July 20th. So how familiar with that are you, Phil?
I played the crap with it. I got to 97 point or 99 point something % completion of Just Cause 3.
Oh shit!
Wait, no, 2. Sorry, Just Cause 2. But I didn't really get into Just Cause 3 because it seemed like it has some kind of an aim assist built in that you can't really turn off. So that kind of turned me off from playing it. But I believe it's still installed on my system. I just haven't played it, finished it.
Okay. Yeah, I know when it first came out, it was kind of buggy enough to where it warranted, I mean, you kept hearing that how buggy it was when it first came out. I'm sure it's pretty stable now, right? I'm guessing.
I think it still has issues. You have to have a good system.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, performance issues or whatever. Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
The multiplayer, I know that they had worked on as a mod, and I know that was out, I think, even when before the game was released. No, I know what it was. They had a multiplayer mod for Just Cause 2, right?
2, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so with 3, they were working on it, but one of the lead guys that was working, I forgot his name. I didn't put his name down in my notes. I'm sorry. Shoot me. Apparently he left. He had a specific, like, I want to say his last name was like Cotton or Watton or something like that. I'm probably wrong. It's probably like George.
Cottonmouth.
Yeah, Jeremy George. What? Yeah, it's totally Cottonmouth now. But anyways, that guy left to like apparently take another job at. I think they said the parent company for the developer. So anyway, it was a better opportunity for him. So he went and did that, and I guess that kind of slowed down the progression of that mod. So now the official version of it is coming out. It's kind of like 7 Days to Die. They had like Alpha 16, which just dropped yesterday. So Alpha 15 whatever was out, and it's so weird with the naming conventions because 7 Days to Die isn't Alpha, so I guess the other one was called the Experimental Alpha build. I'm like, come on, guys. I talked about this on the live cast that I did. I was like, come on, that's
sub pre-alpha
right.
alpha.
I was like, y'all are just fucking around now. Come on. Look, this is a zygote build. That's how far back we are. This is whatever. Yeah. This is just 2 cells rubbing each other. Yeah. All right. No, but anyway, so that dropped. So anyway, so Just Cause 3, if you have it, apparently you probably already know about this, and if you don't, you now know about it. And if you were interested in playing Just Cause 3 from the multiplayer, now's your chance. And the whole thing behind it was, I remember that it was able to support, at least in part 2, the multiplayer, like hundreds of players, just like a ridiculous amount. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw people trying to like all part a bunch of cars behind the plane, and then everybody tried to tether their cars together, and the plane tried to take off and drag. Yeah, it was a disaster. But yeah, they did it. They had fun.
A great disaster. I briefly saw some article, and I probably even heard mention of it, where apparently I think like 50 players on a PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds server got together and tried to like quote unquote break the server. Or the instance of the game by just doing the same action. So like all of them would throw grenades at like one hill, and it caused some slowdown, but it didn't actually kill the instance of the game. Or they shot like a frying pan on a dude to see if the frying pan would break out through all the bullets. Kind of crazy shit like that. They're just trying to break the server, But or I should say the game instance, But yeah. I don't really have any news for PlayerUnknown Battleground. I just kind of saw that article.
Well, I know that they did have the guy that came up with PlayerUnknown Battleground did say something this week saying that
Brendan Green,
they're not going to get it out at the time that he had stipulated. It's like it's probably going to be like a month or more later, but he says they're definitely still trying to get it out for 2017, like out of early access.
Oh, we actually covered a lot of that.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, Emphasize actually helped to clear up some of that because I didn't know much about it, and everything that I kept hearing was like this one guy. But in all reality, it wasn't him. It was the development company. Blue something like that. Yeah, I think it's probably in the notes of last week. But it was a Korean development company that has been around for a while, and they basically... the creative director for that team that was leading that sought Green. Is that his last name? Green?
Yeah, Brendan Green.
Brendan Green. There you go. Sought him out and said, "Hey, we'll fly you over here. Come check this out. Work for us." That's how that actually. Now somehow he became the. They probably just did it for marketing reasons, He became the figurehead or whatever of this. He's like the poster boy for the game or whatever. But like you can look all that stuff up. I was just like, interesting. Okay, that's I mean, it's not going to change what I said. We're going to say that dude that made the game, But there's, at least I know a little bit more behind it. I don't know what that's going to do for me, and I don't even know why I mentioned any of that. Probably just trying to clarify some stuff. But yeah, let's see. What were you saying about that though? That he was saying what now about the game? That they're gonna release it? What?
That it's not gonna come out at the time that they were aiming for, but it's still, they're still trying to get it out for for 2017. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
We
even
covered
if,
it last
honestly,
week. They said that they
Yeah.
want to have it out by the end of the year because they wanted to
Yeah.
not put pressure on the developers. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I think the only reason that they definitely would want to get it out by the end of this year is probably because they want to have it on Xbox as well. So you want to have a game out of early access, so you can say, hey, look, it's on Xbox as well, or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't get it out by the end of this year and they got it out by early next year, in comparison to games like DayZ, H1Z1, you know, even if they got it out next year, if they got it out by the end of next year, that'd be like leaps and bounds ahead of
Yeah, then
of what those other games
any of the
have not
games.
been able to achieve.
Yeah, Warframe, 7 Days to Die, any of these games. Like 7 Days to Die has actually been in alpha for a fucking long time. It's ridiculous, and that's why I don't mind saying, hey, what the whatever. I wonder if they changed the alpha channel on their background. Sorry, I was looking at like the patch notes for 7 Days to Die, and I was like, wow, this actually hard to read because. Well, graphic design typography, right? So if you go to I'll put the link in here. I tweeted this at them. No, they didn't change it. It's a simple change. I could do it on my own. But if you try to read the text under Alpha 16 official release notes, because they're using Helvetica New, which defaults down to Helvetica, it's just a really thin font, number one. It's not super thin, but it's not a heavier font. And the background, that crosshatch background, or that kind of that crosshatch background, that being the alpha channel that it is, it actually starts visually vibrating with the text. It becomes it's not super difficult to read, but it starts fucking with your eyes, basically. If you change the alpha channel to where it's not so transparent, basically, make it a little bit more opaque, it's a lot easier to fucking read. And I'm talking like 2 values. Why am I talking about nobody in the, But basically, it makes the background a little bit lighter, so you have better contrast, so it doesn't blend in as much. These are basics of typography, but whatever.
But to go back to like the same,
Yeah.
I was saying, well, it's still going to be leaps and bounds. I'm not shitting on like H1Z1 and those games because it's easy to say, oh, those games will never come out. Blah, blah. It's game developers just suck.
Hey, maybe they won't.
If you actually, they might. But actually, if you actually sit
What?
down and go through all the shit that people got to do to get a game out, finished, and the whole production of it, it's amazing that a lot of games still do actually come out. Like big budget, or even games that require a team of probably 75 or 100 people, or even 20 people. The amount of work and juggling of time and skills and deadlines to get that stuff done is ridiculous. I've seen some games kind of fall to the wayside and get information on why they did, and there's so much involved in it that it's very easy for games to just get scrapped or whatever. So kudos to those people that do get games done.
Yeah, and yet it's happened so many more times before. So this is just all that's going on with that is they're taking advantage of the accepted idea of how lean and agile, how startups work. When startups in Silicon Valley started doing that and making an acceptable practice in digital production, that's when we started seeing this kind of stuff happen. So it's actually it's actually the effects that are being felt from startups in Silicon Valley. So that's just what that is, and that's coming from, like I said, working in web digital. I saw the same goddamn thing happen. It was like, okay, we're gonna make, and I've talked about this before too, and I hate this shit. We're gonna make the minimum viable product, meaning what's the bare bones bullshit that we can push out there in order to get people basically interested and show them that there's a thing. The problem is those MVPs, as they're referred to, aren't always fully fleshed out. And as you see with video games, the same thing happens. They can get out, they do a nice, good start, but then they don't always fully flesh them out. Because sometimes what will happen is they'll make their money, like for the startups, for example, they'll become valuable enough, that way they can sell them. and that product actually might get scrapped because a larger company, like let's say Microsoft or whatever, ends up doing nothing with it because they dissolve that company that they absorbed, take that technology and implement it as something else. All they really wanted to do was buy the IP, the intellectual property. I sound really boring. Let's talk about video games. Yeah. So, but yeah, I know like all of the stuff that's going on there. I'm like, no, I don't really like. Yes, it's hard, but that's what planning and experience are for. And yes, there is room for like doing things that are not fully thought through. That we, sometimes you just got to start. Sometimes you just got to start and not be scared, right?
Yeah.
But then you have other things that take advantage of that and abuse it, and take people's money and do this thing like, which I'm not, really happy with, which is stay in the perpetual beta. No, put out a product and just say that you're going to keep doing updates to it. Stop being a bitch. So, it's just, but they don't want to they don't want to put a product out because they know that it's not quality. They know it, but they know that if they label it an alpha, that people will actually buy in, because it's that thing about like, remember the Apple fanatics, early adopters, people want to be, they want to feel important. So if you get an early adopter,
it's better to be considered the top dog in a lower tier than the bottom dog of upper tier.
Big fish, small pond. Absolutely. It's all human psychology. It's all, and so when I start talking about that stuff, which is stuff that I'm very familiar with and all that, that's when I start boring myself. And that's when I start making maybe people think like, oh shit, that guy actually may know some stuff. I need to get back into the Janzer gamer, where I'm like an idiot and I don't remember anything. And so let's get to talk about video games again. It's more entertaining for people. Okay. So you're right though. They have come a long way. PUBG. They have definitely come a long way pretty quickly. Let's hope they get this out before the end of the year. Let's hope they're doing the opposite of what, like, they're not Peter Molyneux in it, for example, and they're not over-promising, under-delivering, or they're not David Caging it. Same thing, Cage Molyneux, Mala Cage, Cage-a-new. Yeah, they're not doing that. Let's not that. By the way, I do have something about Peter Molyneux. What's that, Graham?
I was just going to say, can you imagine how ridiculously hilarious all of the news would be around a game that they would co-work on?
Oh my God.
It would be garbage, but it would be the hypest hype thing ever.
They should totally do it.
They should just call the game hype. Doesn't even matter what the game is.
What is it? There was one indie dev that was
all the hype that money can buy, and it's just a bunch of microtransactions.
Indie game dev. Let me put this into Google. I'm just curious. I want to see if it comes with the guy's name. I put in indie game dev asshole. Let's see if it. Let's see if that guy's name comes up. That it was such. There was a guy that. What did he make? He made Fez. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
there he is. He's a little bit.
You said the name of the game. When you said the name of the game, I knew exactly who you meant. Yeah.
What's his name?
The guy.
I'm looking for it now. Still, Phil Fish. So they need to get Phil Fish, Molyneux, and David Cage all together on a project. Oh my God!
Did you ever watch the documentary they had on the indie games though? It was on Steam as well.
Yeah, I watched it on Netflix, and I liked it.
He seemed like a very unstable individual.
Well, you know what? Yeah,
I mean, the pressure was getting to him.
Yeah,
I mean, not again. Like we had talked about that last night. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's not stable. Everybody's not normal. They know this thing about being normal, whatever.
Mm-hmm,
but watching that indie game developer stuff, it was like in comparison to like the other indie game developers that they had,
did not look normal to me either. How they were handling
they didn't
their
seem
life
normal.
And all that. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, they weren't. But what they were doing was probably not what you should normally do, because they were taking on huge amounts of work by themselves, because indie is small. But he seemed to be handling the pressure in a completely different manner as opposed to the rest of them. Like he was he was at the breaking point. He was about to snap. Right. I was like, he's not in a good place. He should get some therapy after that game came out.
It's true. Well, like we put massive expectations on people based on what priority we're giving them, which is arbitrary. It's a video game. and people put such high expectations on how that person is supposed to behave and react, when in reality, he's a video game developer, not... Well, I was going to say not the president of the United States, but look at that piece. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
Look at how different...
Not a community moderator. I mean, those people, you're trained to interact with people.
Well, even community mods act wrong in a lot of ways, too.
Sorry.
I mean, look at...
a good community moderator.
What's a good community moderator, though? Like, who has good community moderators? We don't hear about it. That's the problem.
That's good. Yeah, what do you hear about it?
Because they don't have any problems, so then you're not going to hear. They're not going to be any news. But
community has really great moderation. Community is happy and content with their community.
Right.
Never will be an article.
Yeah. No one's ever like, man, I love this game because the community moderators are amazing. It's always something to yell at, like
Steam review.
They banned me on the forum.
Community moderators are awesome.
Exactly.
Game is okay, but the community moderators are awesome.
It's more of almost a shitty badge of pride to get banned in a forum, or to be able to talk about that. Look what happened to me. Oh yeah, me too. You know, but in reality, you're just a shithead if you get banned in a forum. It's not that hard to not get banned. Just don't be a fucking total piece of shit, you know. Don't fuck with the moderators. That's all that comes down to. But if you want to be egotistical and show them, guess what? They got more power than you. So, anyways. What are we talking about?
Games. Well,
they need Sean Murray in there, too, from No Man's Sky.
Oh, there you go.
Phil Fish, Sean Murray. Oh, man, the dream team. Oh, my God.
I hate to tell you, but I don't think Sean Murray exists anymore.
Yeah, he probably
disappeared into the ether.
He went to Witness. He went to a video game witness protection program, and he's no longer Sean Murray.
Yeah,
someone else.
He dissipated into the ether. He just was there typing, and then slowly, like fucking Back to the Future, slowly just became transparent.
Started fading.
Yep.
Who's this guy again? I don't know. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Peter Murray. What?
But. Moving along from that topic, I saw you had something about Mass Effect 10-hour trial.
I did, but we're talking about Peter Molyneux, and I was going to bring it up too. And so before we go to that, Peter Molyneux Studio, 22 Cans, apparently is going to release a game called The Trail, a frontier journey on PC this summer on Steam. I didn't have an exact date for this or anything like that, and this is just a quick thing. We'll go to the Mass Effect thing right now, but apparently it was a mobile game.
The interesting thing is... Yeah, it's rooted off of like an iOS game or something. I guess that's what 22 Cans does. They've been doing mobile games,
which is
but I guess they're going to expand their game or do some extra stuff and make it to be a Steam game. So I thought that was interesting too.
What the article said though was that so far there wasn't any actual change from what they saw. Like it looked like just the same mobile game. So I guess they got a chance to see whatever it was or play it or whatever, But, I look... Oh, excuse me. I got hiccups. God damn it. I hate that. I looked at the game and, you just control a character that's literally going down a path and you have, like, little decisions to make and whatever. I mean, it looks like a mobile game.
It's a mobile game.
It's a lot of little things, like the heavier shit makes you move slower. So you have to determine, if you want to carry more loot or if you want to get to your destination quicker or shit like that. It's just like choices through whatever inventory or nonsense.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to be moving slower, right? Okay, everybody just wants loot.
That's
why you play games.
Yep. I typed into Twitch chat fish because I saw Phil Fish and I was like, what happens if I autocomplete fish? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was done there.
Distracted. My brain is all
I was just curious about the whole 10-hour trial because I remember they had a 10-hour trial.
Okay, switching topics so we don't confuse people because we're talking amongst each other like but switching topics, yes. Now on to the Mass Effect Andromeda has a 10-hour trial that apparently is now available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Fuck PS3, of course, and the Xbox 360, and
And fuck the Super Nintendo.
So my other question is, fuck those guys.
Nintendo.
Are you gonna try it out?
I don't know. Like all I have to say is I feel nothing. I don't even. Not in a bad
I think
way.
some people would say that that's
way.
a good place to be.
Yeah.
No, the reason I asked if you would try it is because not that you reflect every other gamer, but I think a lot of people pretty much have that opinion about Mass Effect. Now, like, you give me a 10-hour trial. I mean, I own it, unfortunately. But if I didn't own it, no, seriously, if I didn't own it and you give me you say, hey, look, here's 10 hours to play it, I'd be like, no, thanks. I think because of all of what that game has not become.
Yeah.
Given a 10-hour trial now was like, wait, that's like getting junk mail, getting stuff in the mail. Hey, look, you get a chance to get a free coupon for it's like, no, trash. Like I think it's kind of like you're just begging though, but you don't want to put the effort in.
I don't know. I'd be like, hey, cool, you're letting me trial your game for 10 hours.
I was going to say, there's actually a lot of games that have been doing free trials lately. Hell, even... Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot... Uh-oh. That's somebody's audio. That's Phil's audio.
Yeah, Phil is getting zapped into cyberspace.
Yeah, he got taken by the robotic overlords that
the Geth didn't like what he was saying about
That's true.
Andromeda, and they're like, fuck you, coming with us.
Yep. It's true. No, I don't, like I was saying, I don't feel positive or negative one way or the other. And I even knew this question was coming. I knew that somebody was going to ask, well, are you going to play it? And I was like, I don't know what to answer. Maybe, but maybe not. Like, sometimes when people put things to me, I almost feel like, and what I mean by that is like when people request things of me that I have no intention of doing, I almost feel like I don't really want to do that now. I was thinking about it, but now I don't want to have to be expected to do it,
Right. Let me ask you this, Janter, since...
Welcome back, Phil, from the Geth.
Yeah, I think EA pretty much caught on that I was going to say something bad about them, so he's like, oh, no.
That's right.
Send the Geth, take him out.
But Janzer, you and I played the Gears of War.
Yes.
I think that was also 10 hours.
That's correct.
Trial.
Yes.
And I think, every game is different, but I think a 10-hour trial is pretty good.
It gives relatively decent amount of time.
It gives you a decent amount of time to explore whatever. And even if you're like, I'm going to power through stuff and get through as much as possible, you won't really complete everything, but you'll get to experience more maybe. And if you're like I'm going to stare at random shit and do whatever and quote unquote waste time, then you still get a good amount of experience. So I think that 10-hour trial things can be pretty good. Like,
yes,
I just don't see any negative in a 10-hour trial whatsoever.
Well, again,
you're letting me play a game, the full game, for 10 hours.
Yeah, I agree.
I can contradict there and say that I don't see anything wrong with it, but I see an issue with a 10-hour trial for Andromeda. Because in 10 hours of Andromeda, you're not going to experience anything exciting, really.
Wait,
I agree.
There's a lot of bullshit that happens.
Is there a guarantee there that that there's not going to be multiplayer? Because to me, if you have 10 hours of multiplayer, that's pretty damn good.
Exactly.
That's going into what I was thinking that they should do before I got infiltrated by the Geth.
Right.
What I was thinking is that if they wanted, they could give a 10-hour trial for the single player campaign. Well, I would say give them more than 10 hours because honestly, nothing happens in 10 hours that really shines in that game. Although I don't think much can happen after that. But anyhow, some people think that it does. But the game does take a long time to get going. And 10 hours apparently isn't enough from what people had before with 10 hours. What I think they should do, if they really wanted to get people into playing the game, is say, hey, look, you can play the multiplayer for free up to this point. Like, you can get these characters, but you can't unlock these other characters. Okay. But you can still keep playing. That, I think, would get more people playing. Some people might be like, you know what? I might buy it just to get more of the characters.
Yeah, but what if they don't care about multiplayer?
Yeah.
Well,
some people want to play it for the story.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that they could still have, a certain amount of hours for the single player.
I would imagine, and I don't know, but the 10-hour trial thing, at least like Gears of War, it was both. I imagine that it's probably the same.
Yeah,
it was like
that
player and
when
multiplayer.
When you got the
Andromeda.
Origin access. Sorry, go ahead. When you had the Origin access, it was 10 hours for both single player and multiplayer. So I think it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah. So it's probably that. And I agree for especially an RPG type game where it's heavily dialogue. 80% of your gameplay is dialogue. Right. A 10-hour trial isn't going to give you a lot from the single player, but I think the hope is that after 10 hours, you're going to become invested, and then you'll want to buy it. So I don't really see any error in that either. I mean, either you're going to play it for like 2 or 3 hours and be like, yeah, it's all talking, fuck this, and you're going to stop, or you're going to play and be like, fuck, I ran out of time, shit, I want to know what happens. So you're either going to get invested or not, and I don't think a demo versus a trial versus whatever is going to change that. But I do like the 10 hours. I think it's a good amount of time, and giving you the ability to do what you want with the game for that limited time is a good way to do it. I think it's beneficial for both the companies and for gamers.
Yeah. Again, I agree, but I just think in the case of Andromeda, it's not going to do much for them. I think that they've driven that game so far down the hole that I think they might get a few people, but that's not gonna have the rewards that or the amount of people buying into it that other games that would do that same strategy would get.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the side of positivity here. Like anything they do is fine to me. I mean, they're already don't make
it sound like I'm negative.
But it sounds really like it sounds kind of like you're saying there's nothing they can do, and that's honestly like they could do better things, and like. Sure, but this is what's happening. So I'm like, it's like whatever they're doing is going to be good.
The game is broken.
Sure, yeah.
The game is broken. So at this point, it's like, all right, you're saying, like, all right, Jazz, if I came to you and said, like, hey, you need a car, right? Yeah. All right, I'm going to sell you this one.
Yeah, but it's not that broken. But, I think you're kind of exaggerating a bit. And we know that even last week they put out like a patch for updates,
No,
it's not like they're giving up or anything like that either.
Broken might be the wrong word for it, but
hey, and coming from a guy that still plays Warframe, come on, Phil.
And I'll be the first person to tell you Warframe is flawed.
Some
people will be like,
it's broke as fuck sometimes, and that's a goddamn truth.
I gotta say, some people like broken, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's right. Look at the Dark Souls series. Oh, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
people shots fired.
This 10-hour trial to me is going to be for people who want to play it. They don't mind playing it if it's going to be broken, but they wanted to get to experience it a bit more to know how broken it was to see if they could commit to it.
I've seen a lot of it.
That's honestly
like in different like little bits here and there, Let's Play wise. Not a lot in one sitting. That's not true because I watched a lot of gameplay too. I've seen a lot of it, and to me, the planetary exploration seemed the most fun. But then again, that's what I enjoy in video games, regardless of the video game. Like I enjoy exploration. So when I saw what you could do, combat and some exploration, I was like, this is neat. I like this. I probably won't give a shit about the story because I find most stories in video games to be pretty much garbage. Like they don't even come close to books, like quality books or movies, or to me, most of them are pretty fucking shitty.
But see, problem is though that as a stereotypical BioWare RPG game, it's like very heavily story driven. Like you got to do a lot of stuff
it's mostly
to get
dialogue.
to the combat.
Of that, like 10 hours, you're probably going to spend at least 2/3 of it talking to people.
Right. Yeah. So I would have to find out if, like I said, if the multiplayer is available or not.
I think it would be. It was in the Origin Access. They seem to be doing the same exact thing for people who bought Origin Access. You got 10 hours to play the game, and you can do whatever you want. I think the story mode was limited to one planet. With that, I don't know if they're going to limit you to one planet, but it's going to take you a while to get past the one planet. So, yeah, if you can get past one planet in less than 10 hours, but you're not going to get far.
Yeah, I doubt people will end up playing the 10-hour trial and being like, that was amazing. This is great. I think, if anything, they'll walk away from the single-player experience either wanting more or being like, meh, I'm good. Which I think is the way gamers who would be looking to try it want to know for sure.
Right.
Am I going to be like, blah, or am I going to want more?
Yeah. I think it's like when you ask somebody for a justification for things, that's what a lot of gamers that try the 10-hour They're either going to be looking for justification that it sucks or that it's good, that they'll like it.
I think that's a good.
And then there's going to be some people like me that kind of don't really care, but not in a bad way. Just I kind of don't really care in general. I have no feelings for it. And if I play it and I find something that's enjoyable to me, because I'm coming from a neutral position, I'll probably find it fun. But if I find enough there that's annoying to me, I'll find it annoying. So, but I think that's going to be the minority. I think it's going to be people that are looking to justify their position on that. And
either they've been watching all this stuff and they're like, I heard it's shitty, it's going to be shitty. And they'll play and they'll see all those things jump out at them. Or other people will be like, I heard it's really good. And they're going to go through and they're going to see the different things that they like. And they'll be like, yeah, it was super great. I want more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's probably a better way, like Phil was saying, for them to like, it's the same thing with like sales with internet stuff. It's like, what's the end goal that you have here? It's not to display information. It's to lead people down a path to action. So if your site's just for info, that's fine, but that's very rare that's the actual purpose. Most of the sites that I would deal with were business run, so there's a reason for it. What is the end goal? What do you want your users to do? What do you want them to do for you? That kind of thing. So if that's the case, then maybe there's a better way for them to handle it. But the trial period things are pretty popular, and I guess I'm assuming that somebody's doing analytics, before they make these decisions. But we don't know this. We don't. It might just be some fucking idiot that's like, yeah, let's do it because we saw they did it at Gears of War. Let's great. Fucking idiot. He's the one that ran this shit into the fucking hole in the first place.
Yeah. I personally, I just think that they might be better off with a free weekend.
Yeah,
a free weekend?
The problem with the free
that's even
weekend
less time
is because it's
10 hours.
You have
10 hours less than a free.
You're
that's
asking
3
people
days.
to sit down for 5 hours for 2 days.
It's a grind, though. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the trade-off with and I think some people, like Phil was saying, some people would prefer that, but
unlimited
I
time
would be
to
like,
get your 10 hours
I'm not going to
better.
download that on a Friday so that I can, try to cram this game into a weekend.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have the whenever you want. But I think that's a different preference for sure. I think somebody who maybe has a more open schedule or has more time to play games would be like, yeah, I want to play the full game. I'll just grind that shit out. I'll just play it straight. I'll sleep like 6 hours and play it over 2 days. That would have been me, like in my undergrad days. I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, do that."
So it really just
now I would prefer the 10-hour trial.
Right. So what is that? Okay, what does that say to you, Graham? Basically, wrap that up in the mind of a marketer and what they should be doing there.
Majority of gamers are more casual and have other things going on in their lives.
Well,
so
not even like trying to.
Not
even like that. What I mean is like what they should have done is. And hopefully they did, was use their data analytics, whatever they're fucking using, whoever they're buying their data from.
And like on a free week, can people play less than 10 hours or something?
Well, no, and look to determine who is the audience that actually returns on what we're doing the most. And that's who we're gearing towards. Not that we're not going to do these other things. There's always, if they're smart about it in marketing, you do multiple different, you have different, like, let's say you have a site that you push, people that you have paid ads out there and they hook a certain type of person based on words being used or images. You send them to one landing page that is catered to exactly how that individual reacts to things. The other ones that react differently, you send them to a different landing page. The end goal is always the same, but you always set up these different traps is what it is.
Yeah, right, yeah. I feel
sorry, because that's what it is. It's the fucking truth, And
then, I think allowing somebody to be able to complete the game in a trial or free-to-play experience, I think doesn't help me as a person trying to sell more of my product.
So I think going back to what Phil was saying, what does this sound like then when they're doing a 10-hour trial? Like
it's an appetizer in my mind.
Right. But it also, to me, because you guys are like kind of pushing me back into thinking about business every time I look at these things. what it looks like is exactly what Phil is saying. There's better ways to do it, but it's not even just that there's better ways to do it. Why? What's that stupid meme with the little girl that doesn't even speak Spanish? But like, why not both? You know, honestly, that's what real businesses do. Well, the ones that I worked for, you know, they don't fucking just put all their eggs into one, unless they're fucking stupid. Then, you know, you usually, if you have some level of budget, which what we can tell from video game industry, especially large publishers, and this has got a large publisher behind it, they allocate a lot of that money towards marketing. So they should do like, okay, we've got people that are going to go do the 10-hour trial here for like the casual people like myself that don't want to cram, you know, into the, honestly, let's be fair. The weekend to them is Thursday through Sunday. Okay. Every time we see a free weekend, it always starts on Thursday. It's true. It's a goddamn truth. So it's 4 days. But let's say I don't want to do that. You know, let's say I want an unlimited time to play this 10-hour trial. But once it's 10 hours, then it's done. And hopefully they're not stupid enough to do what Microsoft did with Gears of War 4 and just fucking kick you out of the game straight to the desktop when your trial is done. Oh my God. That was so dumb. Such a dumb move. But
it was pretty hilarious, though.
It is.
In a shitty way.
And this is what, when I look at video games and how they handle their business side of things, they are so sloppy. It's ridiculous. There's so many ways that they're not catering to people the way that other industries would, the way that industries have learned to, you know? It's almost like, let's say you were in a Baskin Robbins and tasting, you know, some ice cream. What if you were going to reach, oh, I'm going to try this mint chocolate chip, and some dude just picked you up and threw you outside? Fucking threw you outside. It's like, wait, what the fuck? No, the trial's over, motherfucker. Get out.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not that hard that they could write a script that something pops up saying, hey, you only got 10 minutes left. Hey, you only got 5 minutes left. Yeah, it's time to end.
Or even like
at the end of the match,
letting you know, hey, this is over.
Yeah,
right. Well, thanks for
the thing though is that
anything.
I mean,
they're just like, nope, that's it. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
But in that instance, you were playing the multiplayer. So I can understand maybe having something for the multiplayer that you could finish the match. But with the single player, they might say, well, sorry, you know, your time is going to coming to an end. So at least you let somebody know. If you say, like, hey, you got 30 more minutes left, and then something else comes in, you know, like, you know, reminders when it gets close to that time, you know, you say, like, we're going to have at least 3 reminders, and you let them know up front.
Sure.
That's going to happen.
Point being, they could do something better than kick you out of the fucking store in the middle of your fucking taste testing.
Yeah, because the horrible thing about that too is that it didn't even end the game and put you back to the main page with something saying your trial is over. It just shut the whole fucking game down and just kicked you right out.
Correct.
Like, it was like if the game crashed on you, it was like, what the fuck? That was really poor.
It should have taken you to the main screen with the buy button. That's what it should have done.
No, honestly, yes, that's true. You're trying to sell the product, aren't you? Yeah, do that.
And I don't even mean as simple as that, although that can work. I've actually seen stuff do that. You know, it's like, oh, trial's over. Would you like to buy it now? You know, phone apps, in fact, they do that quite often. But yeah, you can.
I think
you can put a little work into it.
I think the trial thing that I did for Titanfall 2 did that too. Like you played through like a level, and then like when that boss dropped, his Titan fell. It just stopped and paused. It was like, "Here's the game. You can get it if you want." So yeah, I've seen that before for sure.
Yep. Okay. So we've come to the conclusion that the publisher. Who's the publisher? Is it 2K? Who's the publisher for Mass Effect? It's not Ubi, right?
BioWare?
It's BioWare. Okay, they're acting like 2K.
EA is the publisher.
Oh, EA. Oh, that makes total
BioWare
sense.
is the developer.
Okay, now this is business as usual for EA. Never mind. They don't give a shit. They're big enough. They don't even care. And they've always done business this way, which is pretty shitty.
Everybody's assholes.
Pretty much. Yeah, so basically, they could have done a lot better. Hire B3, we'll take care of all this shit for you. All right, so, At least all the planning. You do the execution. But let's see here. So in the world of free demos, apparently the Surge is getting a free demo.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I didn't see a date, but Graham, you said you saw something about like next week?
People have reported using the phrase next week. And there was like a trailer that was like 30 or 40 seconds long or something where it talked about, and at the end of it, it said demo available next week. So the only date I could find was not a date, but that it will be next week. So it could be any fucking day of the week. But apparently it's next week.
Next week. That's fine with me. I mean, that's cool. At least I know that something is coming. That's cool. Because I that is actually something that I am interested in playing. I want to try that out.
Yeah, I'd play the demo.
And the reason why is because it's more in my wheelhouse of of mechanics. Not that Mass Effect doesn't have its combat mechanics, but like you said, I already know that there's a lot of story around it, and the primary focus is the storytelling, not necessarily the combat. Not that the combat isn't there, just that, I mean, clearly, right, multiplayer. But multiplayer is also not my primary, interest either. So,
absolutely,
yeah, something like a Souls-like whatever. Yes, very interested in that because of the mechanics. So, yeah, I'd love to see how that game plays. So that'll be cool. I didn't see what systems or anything like that, but I know it came out on Steam, so that's all I am concerned about.
I saw PS4, I believe. I don't know if there was another one.
Yeah, I feel like it was an exclusive, or a PS4, not Xbox One, but who knows?
I'm not sure. They were the Lords of the Fallen people, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Lords of the Fallen was also on Xbox, so it's possible it could be, but I have no clue. I didn't pay attention to that when I looked at the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I really have for like demo related stuff. There's some stuff coming out, but I don't know. Do you guys know of anything like free demos or free games? I saw something for the next Steam free game, but I didn't care about what it was. Something called Battle Rate.
Oh shit. No, continue.
That's all I know. I just know the name Battle Rate. I don't know anything about it. I think I looked at a screenshot, and it was like a third person, almost kind of like a Diablo-ish looking, maybe. I don't know. I looked at it so briefly, and it got my attention so little that I didn't give enough of a shit to give a fuck about even putting in the notes. That's horrible. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. I hate myself. Look, I just started up Steam. It says for a limited time, get Jotun for free. Download now. Keep it forever.
Right.
Play
That's
now
what I
for
was
free.
trying to remember. Jotun is for free.
Jotun. Definitely should do this. This is a good video game from what I remember. I'm doing it right now. Click to install now. No, I don't want to do that, but I want to make sure you're in my library. Doing it live, as Phil would say. Fuck it.
We're doing it live.
There you go. But
Jotun Valhalla Edition.
Yeah, that's a kind of a very, very difficult game from what I recall. I think it's an overhead type of game, kind of like in the vein of like the original Zelda.
Isometric.
Is that what it is? Oh, isometric? Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, that's the term, like, like all those kind of like Diablo type views.
Right. Well, that's not I thought it was top down, but it's not.
It reminds me of, I
Isometric's
don't know if you guys, Titan Souls, that type of like super zoomed out, almost bird's eye, but it's kind of over the shoulder on the character.
Yeah, it's like a 3/4 view, but isometric is the proper term for it. Top down is literally you're staring at the top of like a character's head. And that's what I thought it was, but that's not it. I must be thinking about a different game. What's that game that's like isn't the Gungeon, isn't that top down? Or is that isometric as well? That's probably isometric. Because you can see your character's body, right? If you can basically, if you can see the body at an angle, that's isometric. It's referred to as 3/4 view. But anyway. Jotun, let me put that in the notes, because that's, I don't know how long, but man, that's the second game that I recall. Like the other one was like Payday, right? Payday 2? That was free for like only 1 million people or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Free on Steam. I wonder if it's on any other platforms for free. Jotun. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, but if you guys have anything related to that, free or demo-related stuff, insert here. I'm looking for the next topic here.
The 2C mentioned the Destiny 2 preloading, so you can preload for the if you pre-order any of early access to the beta's console, I believe.
Oh, console. That's why I didn't give a shit.
PS4 though, not just console. I don't think it's on the Xbox that early.
I think the difference between the two is 1 day, but I could be mistaken. I haven't been following it intentionally because I don't really care as much. But I'm pretty sure I thought it was 1 day difference between PS4 and Xbox. Because PS3 or because PC is so late with everything, I'm pretty sure their beta time, if it exists, is like way different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that is next weekend, I think, is when it actually happens. So probably anytime this like week leading up to it, you can preload it. But yeah.
Okay, well, the note I put here is Destiny 2 preload the pre-order. What's the date on that?
The beta, I think, is 21st. 22nd,
Preload
20th.
begins tomorrow. That was 2 days ago, so apparently you can already do it.
Yep, there you go.
Did you say the 20th?
20th, 21st, 22nd. One of those three is at least
July 18th through 20th, PS4 beta. So it starts on the 18th, apparently.
So PS4 is that Tuesday? Tuesday through, let's say 20th? Just 3 days?
Yeah.
So that would be Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's kind of a weird time.
July 19th through 20th for the Xbone. Huh.
See, it was 1 day off. I thought it was. Yeah.
I think it 1 day less.
There you go.
Just going back to Jordan, the period for that to get it free ends on July the 17th, 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay,
so just this weekend,
in the middle
free.
of typing something else, so I'll have to get that in a minute. Beta access, yeah, but why the hell is Xbone less? 1 day less?
It's that whole PlayStation. It's fancy. We love PlayStation. They get all the stuff, extra bonuses. Now, normally in the actual game content, that means they get it early, but for beta, they get an extra day.
Okay. And then July 21 through 23, all console players can access beta. Jotun was what again?
It is the free period for it ends on July the 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific.
10 a.m. Pacific. All right, fair enough. Awesome. Man, I feel like we have like knowledge and stuff about the things we talk about.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Smart.
Even if we are doing it like during the podcast.
Do it live.
Doing it live. Yeah. All right.
JTF, we got this.
I did name the title of the cast Avengers Assemble, Molyneux Murray, Fish, and Cage Argo. So
love it.
Yeah, I don't know. We could always change that later on. Who knows? But we can't use we're doing it. Fuck it, we're doing it live every single time. We'll do it one of these times, just not every single
MFMC.
time.
No, that's our tag. That's just the tagline. That's not the main headline. Subtitle. There you go.
The MMFC universe. That's correct.
I think you typoed assemble.
You're a typo. What?
I think it didn't register your E.
Oh, because I probably didn't put in, or I think I was like kind of flipping between something. I might have hit backspace on accident. Yeah, well, they're not perfect either. So why do I have?
True that. But they will preach it like that missing E is the thing that makes it the greatest thing they'll ever experience or
Cage
read.
I'll tell you how it'll go down. Cage will explain that the E is unimportant and that you're missing the message, but in all reality, he's not trying to give a message. That's not the important part. And then it's like, wait a second, Cage, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's just gone already. Fish will tell you that you're a piece of shit and fuck you for finding any problems with his game. Murray, you won't hear from Murray. That's all. You just won't. He's gone, like we already said. And Molyneux will say that he'll probably lean towards how Cage does it, and he'll explain that it's a new concept, and they want to explore different ways of handling, how Assemble was envisioned. And so this was something that they've been planning for years. And that the E actually might be available later on for DLC, depending on how well the game is received. So
I love it. Beautiful nerdy poetry.
I know all these bastards. All right, I don't know them, but I know enough about their notoriety. All right.
So,
games and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing else on demos and or anything. Speak now.
Yeah, not that I know of.
Nothing demo related. Other stuff, but not demo.
Okay. Then,
yeah. Hey.
If you want to say something, bring it up before I do, because I'll bring something.
Stop cutting me off, God damn it.
All right, go ahead, go.
Anyway, right.
Hey, Phil, go ahead.
Wait, what, Graham?
Go ahead.
Right. So, any y'all interested in VR stuff?
No.
Not even remotely.
Oh, okay. Would you ever
but let's hear about it.
But yeah, I'm trying to do like a salesman's pitch, but would you be interested if it was $200 cheaper?
I thought you were going to say porn. I was going to say yes.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to do the magic word.
Well, there's a lot of porn on the Oculus Rift too, so I mean.
I saw this article.
Oculus
I just
Rift,
did not read it.
It's got a $20 permanent price cut coming for it, and right now it's $300 cheaper for summer.
Wait, I'm lost here. How does $20 equal $300 versus $200?
I said 20. Sorry, $200. There's a $200 permanent price cut that's coming for it. So the price is going to drop down to $499 for not only just the Oculus Rift but also the Touch. So it's like you can't get it separate now. It's like just the bundle for $499. But currently right now they have a summer sale going on for it, or a sale during the summer that drops the price down to $399. And it's kind of interesting because the HTC Vive is still selling for $800.
Yeah.
And that's without the deluxe audio strap upgrade, which apparently you need to have. So with that, it puts the price up to $900.
Jeez. All right.
So,
but you said the VR itself it's not being sold by itself for $49, or the Oculus, right? It's being sold with something else.
Yeah, some Oculus Touch. I don't know. I guess that may be the controllers or something that go with it. Yeah. But with all the trouble that Oculus has been having recently, I could see that they're just like, we need to cut prices, but they've cut prices 3 times so far for this year. 3 times.
That's not a good sign for them.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been having a lot of issues with ZeniMax, constantly banging on their door. We want your money. You owe us. This is our product.
Yeah.
We own the rights to this. So I think that this is probably their best option. But it is also competing now with like Sony, the PlayStation, VR headset. So maybe they're also
doing
seeing
really
that
well from what I remember, at least.
That's the main VR headset that actually is selling, which is understandable because it gets tied in with a PlayStation, which costs significantly less than getting a PC set up to run VR. So, I mean, this could be also an indication too that VR might actually be making some drastic, like price has to drop in order for people to buy it, and it may have to drop drastically in a much shorter space of time than the creators of the VR headsets wanted to compete, because of Sony being able to capitalize on everybody, the amount of people that have a PlayStation in their house are more willing to buy a VR headset to work with that.
They have a better production process by far. They're going to easily be able to make better profit off of it, or they're going to be able to absorb the profit loss like they normally do on their console systems for a period of time. So this is normal for Sony. They're like, oh, you guys are funny. Here's how it's done. Yeah, they've been doing home entertainment, or just I would say personal entertainment, home entertainment, all of that stuff for fucking time out of mind. So yeah, that's a nightmare. If you're a startup and you're doing something in that realm, and Sony, oh god, it's like are we done? I think we're done now, right? Because Sony's they're in it now. We're fucked. Yeah.
But I honestly, yeah, you want to take a risk. I mean, you can take risks, you can try to do stuff in business, but looking at how like consoles have to, and other manufacturers of products generally don't make much money in terms of like their profits, and companies that actually create the software to put on that stuff is where most of the money goes.
Yeah.
It would probably have made more sense for like Oculus or HTC Vive to create a storefront. Let's say, hey, look, this is storefront. We're pushing VR, and hey, this is headset for less. That's a big gamble, but honestly,
well, that's the thing. They did try to do that, but you got to remember that that whole thing about wait, okay, let me see.
But
I'm getting confused here. Who's the other manufacturer? That's the I hardly ever heard of
HTC Vive.
The Vive. There you go. Okay, so Oculus is the Facebook one. Okay, and then the guy that came from Oculus that's now departed from there, he's actually backing something that's trying to like make it to where you can play anything on the Oculus or whatever. That's the whole problem. Is like they were trying to make specific software for each, like the Vive and the Oculus. They were before, and then people, of course, were hacking that so they could use it, whatever. Because as startup type kind of thing, you need things to be able to, iterate quicker, rather than having them locked down so hard and then become stagnant and die because one company wasn't going to be able to get it done. And I think that's the problem with VR is that it's not accepted enough, and so it has to be out. There needs to be more saturation of the market, which there currently is not. What Sony's helping clearly,
but like that was saying, like as a developer of VR, I would have had to like try to team up with Xbox or Sony, one of those people that basically have an audience already.
Yeah, of course.
So because if you just like to try and create the store by yourself, that's pretty much like Amazon they came up with their app store and their whole online store for media and content, because Amazon has so many Amazon users on there with Prime.
Amazon is like,
so it's a lot easier for them. So I say it's a lot easier for them or for people like Sony to say, hey, here's this product now, because they already have a big base of users.
Yep.
But for HTC Vive now, Oculus, they're like fish out of water. They're like, oh, we know got to build this,
right?
And we got to make the product to go with it too. So that's a huge undertaking. So I think they kind of it was a risk that you could take and see what happens, but it's almost kind of like shooting yourself in the foot, because
well, I mean,
that's a steep hill to go up.
Yeah, it is, and they're
Not
trying
impossible,
to do as much as they can for themselves. And I think, I mean, who would have predicted, what ended up happening? I don't know that that was something that anybody's looking to like. Okay, we're going to be developing this product. Get ready to get sued, or get ready for our lead developer to leave and take our fucking technology with them because he says it's his. Which he's, as a developer, and I've developed stuff that I can't claim as my own because it belongs to the companies that I worked for. I'm not saying that what he did was right, but I definitely understand because it's the work that I did. It's my life. It's the time that I spent for years there. So I'm like. Yeah, but then he took it with, like, I did not take technology that I created at the company I was last working at so I could use in my personal time. Although with code, sometimes code is like, well, yeah, that's what you do with code. You don't reinvent the wheel. You take pieces of code that works and that anybody could do. And so it's not really taking it from one product because it could be easily replicated somewhere else. So you could have come up with it on your own anyways. So, but yeah, anyways, it's a big mess. It's a big mess. And your point being that it needs to come down price-wise, for sure. And this is probably a good thing.
It's going to have to come down for VR to actually thrive.
Yep. Yeah, what is the Sony one running?
Sony one?
Yeah, I'm going to look it up right now. Apparently $400. $400, apparently.
Yeah, right. I said earlier that their price bring it down to $399 right now is competing with what Sony's price is for it right now.
Gotcha.
But it's still going to be $499 after the summer sale is done.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's still going to be a little bit more than what one cost for Sony. So
Yeah, but they're definitely feeling the pressure of having competition. So, versus where I guess before it was like, okay, we're both setting our price points at this level, however they come across that, price point. It's probably because they need to because they're small companies. So they can't do like what I said with what Sony could do, which is like, we don't give a shit. We'll burn the money now. We'll make it up later. Or we'll get it. We're so broken up as a company as far as like the products that we do and whatever services we offer that sure, we didn't make it over here in TVs, but we're making up the profit over here in whatever you want, Yeah,
so and that's the same thing Xbox is going to do with their, was it Xbox One X or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. They can take a loss. They can take the loss with that because there's no way that the components they put in that costs $500, but they can make it back pretty quickly with all the games that people are going to buy on there, and you got to pay for your monthly subscription, and you got to buy all the games through them. So
that's pretty normal when the console system comes out that they know that they're going to take a loss. Yep. But they always price them down because they know that the only way to get them out there is to put them at some kind of price point that people can, based on what the market currently handle, what they know that is going to give them the most return. So.
Yeah. And that's something that stores, supermarkets, all that stuff do. Hey, look, such and such, things are going for, 2 for 1 or whatever. It's like, what? This could never be selling. They're giving these away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when you go in there, you buy that. Chances are you can go buy a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. Get you in the store. Get you to buy the product. And you're going to have to buy all the other stuff.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a psychology of like, just drawing people in. Yep. The Black Friday sales, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what they thrive on. Yep, absolutely. But just in everyday kind of, marketing for sure.
Everyday life.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm still, the only thing that I've seen VR-wise. Everyday normal guy. That's right. The only thing I've seen with VR that has been super impressive to me was the one Star Wars, I think it was a X-Wing short mission that you could do, and that was on Sony's platform, on the PlayStation platform. And I was like, I would throw money down. If I had that excess money, I would absolutely have bought that day that I saw that video. That's how good it looked to me. I was like, holy shit, this is the dream. We did it. We could be in Star Wars now. I did it, Mom. Yeah, exactly. So to me, it looks that good. I love that trailer. I recommend going. I said it way back then too. Go checking it out. But I have not seen other equally impressive stuff out there, So we'll see how it keeps going. It's just gonna take time. It's like when video games first came out, it just took time to what are these things gonna look like? What is this digital representation gonna? What's the most accepted form that people were gonna be able to tolerate? So blocks gonna do it? No. What about line art? No, that's not gonna do it. Let's try, how about like side, from the side portrait type? How about just all the different iterations that we've seen? So VR's got a long way to go, that's for sure. So it's in the best interest that we have competition there, not a lock on it. So I think we've exhausted that.
Hooray, gross.
And of course, porn, is going to do its duty and try to create market share in the VR.
Really try to make a splash of excitement there.
Interestingly enough, you're saying like porn, making the splash and pushing things.
Yep.
What I find kind of, I don't know if any of y'all noticed it, but have you been onto like YouTube, like on their main page or stuff? Like if you mouse over the thumbnails, they actually show you like a little video preview of stuff now.
YouTube?
YouTube. You got like the thumbnails for all the videos that are there. If you mouse over them, you might have to like dump your cache or whatever for it to work. When you mouse over them, they'll give you a little play button that you could preview in that little thumbnail.
Really?
On the screen. Yeah. And the first time I saw that,
I never would have thought to even bother to do that.
Mm-hmm. But the first time I saw that,
it just doesn't work like that normally, huh?
Yeah. But the first time I saw that, I think that they implemented it this week. I'm not sure. It could be late or whatever. But when I saw that, the first thing that came to mind to me was Pornhub.
Huh.
You mouse over the thumbnails. I was like, so it's like, again, the porn industry is leading
Yeah.
technology.
Hey, I was saying it in a joking manner, but everybody knows how much that really drove the internet in its early days, for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
as well as VHS versus beta.
oh, as far as like
Beta
pushing the
tapes?
technology,
Yeah.
yeah. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Currently, because we kind of talked about like live events and whatnot and video, but Evo 2017 is going on right now. You can watch it. EVO. It's basically fighting games. I like fighting games. So it's tournaments and whatnot for Street Fighter and all that wonderful stuff that are going out. So you can go to like Twitch TV /Evo, and I think they've got multiple Evo channels, like EVO, like 1, 2, 3. I can't remember how they've got a lot of channels. Plus, I think the main manufacturers or the main publishers of the games probably have Evo being streamed on their own channels as well. And then I think there's some sites out there. You could probably go to like Evo, whatever their main website is, and like watch it stream there too. But if you're into fighting games, you probably already know this anyway, so you're probably there. But yeah, I might go check out some of the like VODs or whatever. There's always some interesting little moments that happen there, upsets and whatnot. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind watching it because I don't play those games. But if I did play those games, I'd probably won't watch it because it'll make me feel like a piece of shit. You'll never be this good.
Oh yeah. I do it when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was like, wow, these are hard. And I can kind of play them, but there's always people that can trounce me. So I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be good at this because I don't want to be.
But even as a kid, like you'd be playing it, you play against your friend or your neighbor, call you over, you kick their ass. You, oh, I'm the greatest.
Oh yeah. That's all I needed to be.
But there was no like,
champion.
Internet. There was no internet there and big championships and all that stuff going on. But when that stuff started to come into place, you realized, man, that was really shit.
Well, there were arcade tournaments for sure. Like there were those. In fact, they were earlier than when consoles came out, because that's how the whole legends of like Pac-Man, players and all of that was actually 70s related, I think, and early 80s.
Yeah, but I was talking about like when the consoles came into play and then the arcades started to shut down. It became more of a like you sit down at home, personal. Detached from numerous other players. Kind of
I'm telling you, they should combine. Like GameStop should totally like expand a little bit and just make it a arcade style, gaming hub in general.
Hangout, yeah.
They should just adapt.
Yeah.
Stop being cutbags. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Make their store into more of a social environment. Where you don't just come in to play games, but you come in there to interact with. Yeah.
But they wouldn't do that. You know why? Because they hate people. That's why. It's true. It's true. It's actually true. They just want them to buy the stuff. They don't actually want people to be there.
Yeah,
they just want to buy
exactly the way you feel when you were there.
What's the least amount that we have to do in order to make money? Okay, we'll put like some underpaid people there, part-time, so they don't get benefits. And minimum, can we get away with one manager, or can we actually get away with one manager that comes in or is like not even like a full-time manager, just part-time, two part-time managers? Can we do that? Evening manager. Can we have that? Yeah. So it's he doesn't even come in. In fact, only 3 days out of the week they come. And I'm not even joking. These are facts.
No, that's business.
Yep.
That's business.
Scummy ass bullshit is what it is. So let's see here. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's something. Speaking of scummy, apparently Valve, they've been working on their anti-cheat technology. They've always been doing that, but they talked about like actually having more staff, there so they could actually handle things because they just didn't give a shit before. Like, oh, we need people. It's just not going to take care of itself. Oh shit. Look at this dumpster fire that happened. Whoa, that sucks. Boy, oh, that's our house. Oh, geez. Yeah. So anyways, they've recently banned like 40,000 Steam accounts. All this data came from like third-party sites that like pull information from the API from Valve and from Steam, I should say. And so that's interesting, because apparently a practice that people would do was like they would just buy a bunch of like, and I don't really understand how this works anyways, but they said that they would buy a bunch of instances of a game on the cheap, like CSGO, and then use them as different accounts to log into to try out cheating methods and whatnot. And I'm like, what? But isn't that tied to your Steam account? Wouldn't you have to make a bunch of Steam accounts then? And I was like, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
You make multiple Steam accounts so that you can buy. So you can have.
Then you just gift it to yourself, basically.
Yeah, you can gift it to different. You can gift it to yourself or gift it to different accounts, so you can just keep trying out stuff and where you get banned on that account. All right, cool, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I meant by like gifted to yourself, meaning like they're all your accounts, so you're gifting to yourself. Yeah, yeah, because you only want one card tied to one account. You don't have to set up for each goddamn account. Yeah.
One thing I will say though, I saw articles on that, and it was very clickbaity because those bans are for their anti-cheat, so they're not banned from Steam. Like those accounts can still use Steam and buy games,
but
they can't use. Yeah, well, that's why I said like I think a lot of people kind of just worded it in a way that it was very clickbaity, but they didn't give the actual thing, because I think they said that it was actually only 5,000 accounts out of that 40 or whatever that were actual accounts that were just completely banned, like can't use Steam at all. The other 30-something thousand or whatever are actually just anti-cheat bans, so the account still exists. You can still go and buy games or whatever, but you can't play any of the competitive games.
Okay, I'm looking now.
Because that's what happens.
Like I PC Gamer that I'm looking at. It just says 40,000 Steam users, blah blah blah, nearly tripling the previous mark of 15,000. Another 5,000 in-game bans were delivered. Basically, this is what you're referring to, the 5,000 in-game. But so on top of the 40,000 Steam user accounts. This is what this article says. I'll just dump it into the damn chat.
I think some articles were wording it wrong though, so I don't know exactly.
I think one of them was Kotaku or Polygon, and it didn't really say much of anything. It just said, "Hey, these things got banned," But it said 40,000 Steam accounts. I take that as actual accounts. It didn't say in-game. The second one was PC Gamer. That one says the 40,000 Steam users, and then it says in the paragraph two below that another 5,000, which correlates with what you just said, and that also correlates with what you said about them being in-game bans. So this is to me 45,000. Well, not in total number-wise, but 40,000 actual user accounts, but then 5,000 in-game bans, which is different from the other thing. So let's see, on July 7th, the day after this big hike. Okay. But yeah, that's
because it says 40,000 Steam users were hit with the Valve anti-cheat ban hammer. So that's not your account being removed. That's you're no longer being able to play any games that use the anti-cheat, the Valve anti-cheat, like CSGO and so Team Fortress 2 and those games, or any game that is on Steam that utilizes that.
Latest game in VAC bans. Okay. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that. Yeah, those.
So the accounts are not shut down. What we're referring to is that there were in-game bans on 40,000 accounts. Is the way it should have been worded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a great way to handle that.
Yeah. It just sounds better. What? 40,000 Steam users banned? You click and you go in. Hang on.
Well, yeah, because it even said specifically the reasoning of how they handled it, which is what I said. They would buy up. I got to find that original article where it talked about that, with the people would buy the games cheap or whatever. Anyways, that's something to look into. Yeah, if I was like a credible news source, I would probably hunt that down myself more so, but good enough is what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I saw other stuff too that was tying it in, saying, "Oh, they did it the day after Steam sales," and I was like, "You guys are reaching."
The day after.
Anyway,
Yeah, no, I normally
happened
don't like try to cross-reference
6th.
a lot of the things that I'm reading because I usually don't have to. Let's see. Yeah, because even this one here, VG 24/7, Video Games 24/7, basically says Valve banned over 40,000 Steam users after the summer sale. More than 40,000 Steam users one day. Yeah, once again, it's like what it's how it's stating it.
Yeah, but like even if the same article that you sent, if you scroll down to go and look, there's like a guy George Sullivan is saying the same exact thing that I'm saying. He said,
Yeah,
I'm
not saying that you're wrong. I'm agreeing. In fact, yeah, this one here says a VAC ban. Although they can't, nobody fucking edits these things ever. Let me read it the way it says it. A VAC bans means, so bans plural. A VAC ban is all they had to put. Means losing access to playing online in any game that supports VAC as an anti-cheat measure. But the obvious target here is Dota 2, Counter-Strike Global, offensive cheaters, right? So that's exactly what you're saying. So they're in-game, but the initial is like, the account's dead. And that other one was worse because wherever I had read that, because it had talked about a practice of like, here it is. More recently, the company removed the ability to, the unclaimed GIF. It was talking about the practice about like, here it is right here, actually. Valve chose this day in particular to ban all those offenders. Well, this says it was on that whatever specific day, too, because it would prevent them from using the games they got at a discount during the sale on another account and continue cheating.
Yep. And you know what? I don't care if they did that because basically those people are doing that stuff to cheat. So
I'm not sure how banning one account is going to ban the other account in game either, though. Oh, your internet's going bad again.
Robot Phil.
How convenient.
The Geth want more Phil.
Yeah, they do. Basically, I would say if you're interested in this article, go look it up more. We're spending too much time on it. Yeah, we're like on a few units down here. We got a few more to go.
People did stuff that they weren't supposed to, and they got banned and stuff. There was a certain number of them, and woot, I guess.
Yeah, go check it out if you're if you're that into like, yeah. I'm not that interested because I don't do bad stuff like that. So whatever. Blah 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 blah. What's a boring one? Here we go. Rainbow Six Siege's title update 2.11. It's going to introduce loot boxes called Alpha Packs. So apparently they're down with like what a lot of other games are doing, which is the whole loot box thing. You know, Paragon has it, Overwatch has it. Tons of games have the loot boxes. The RNG box, you know, where people love to open them so they can complain about what they didn't get. That's what loot boxes are for, right? That's why people like loot boxes. Yeah, ESO has them. What are they called? Crown crates or whatever.
Crown crates, right? Correct.
But really, it's just another way for gamers to complain about something. So every user will receive one free loot box because you got to get the kids hooked. We all know that. The planned Hong Kong season is going to be pushed back to Season 3 in August, while November Season 4 will feature South Korea. Okay, so there you go. Those are the next two updates that are going to happen, Hong Kong and South Korea. And apparently they're going to be pushed back because their current Operation Health that's going on apparently has caused a lot more work for them, I guess, than they initially assumed. And so it's pushing back some of the DLC. That's what this. I'm looking at my notes. I'm trying to make sense of it. Then it says Poland will no longer have its own season in year 2, but its GROM operators will be available at the start of seasons 3 and 4. The number of new maps has also been reduced to 3 and includes the most recent map set in Spain. Oh, I see. So that means there's only going to be 2 more maps. Oh, because when the Spain operators came out, remember? That's when that new map came out that I'm not familiar with at all, that club or whatever it is. Yeah. But interesting. All I'm getting from this is the developers are still working on Rainbow Six Siege. they're still going to put out new content, and that's awesome. There's one title that Ubisoft is allowing the developers to work well with. So is a delay not great? Yes. On the other hand, are they doing better than most of the other Ubisoft titles? Ubisoft tends to like, it's almost like they do the same thing that I was talking about with the alpha stuff. They'll have like an initial large push, and then they just let it kind of drift.
Yeah, back in the day when I would play old Ubisoft games on the regular Xbox and stuff, I felt like it was pretty common theme of like, hey, we made this game, here's some content stuff, oh, some stuff broke, that kind of sucks, and then they moved on. Like, they like make a thing, and they don't continue to support it. They at some point, they're just like, whatever, it's done. We're not worrying about that. That's in the past. You know what? That actually just reminds me of the fact that that's actually how it always used to be. So it's more of a bad business practice that they're holding on to versus the reality of like, this is not how things work anymore with video games, because you can't get away with it anymore. You can't make that excuse that like, oh, too bad it's on the cartridge. You know, it's on the disc. Oh, that sucks. No, because you actually can. And in fact, they abuse it enough with their whole like, hey, it's only 10 more gigs for day one patch. What? Fuck you. You know, so they already abused that whole thing with day one patches, you know. So do your due diligence and finish up on the back end. That sounds weird. Okay, DLC. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, hey, come on, take care of back there. What's going on? Neo's Defiant Honor DLC, PS4, coming out July 25th for $10. So Defiant Honor, apparently, I'm just going to read this here. Takes us to Osaka Castle. It doesn't say it like that. I'm sorry. The largest and most impregnable castle. Oh, they haven't met me yet. Of Sengoku era. I'm sorry. This add-on features the legendary warrior Sanada Yukimura serving Tokugawa Ieyasu's archenemy Toyotomi clan. They're trying to fuck with me. Yeah. Guess what? I'm a weeb enough that I can pronounce this shit. What? Ieyasu. Is that who it was? Like Tokugawa's name?
Ieyasu is all it is. It's Ieyasu. It's Ieyasu.
Yeah, Tokugawa's first name.
Yeah, Tokugawa. Yeah. The Tokugawa clan. Yeah, everybody knows that. And the Toyotomi clan, who value honor above all else. There's a whole lot more flavor text to that. You go look it up yourself if you want. But basically, it's going to be set in the Sengoku era, and it's going to be in Osaka Castle, which is one of those iconic kind of things for weebs, you know, so they'll know about that. So if you're into castles and Japan and getting your heart on with your katana out, then that's going to be for you. $10. I mean, for DLC, that's not bad, right? But I don't really know how well that last DLC was received. I think it was good. I only know one gamer that would play it.
Yeah, I only knew of the one as well. I think it's the same one.
Mm-hmm. Kevin. Yep. Kev Factor. There you go. Kev Factor on YouTube.
Yeah, Factor now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's pretty good at those games. And in fact, I think I even saw him playing some of it the other day too. Definitely back on that Bloodborne. That guy plays a lot of Bloodborne. Okay. But anyways, Neo, still a game. I would absolutely play it if it was something I could play, but it's on PS4, so I can't play it. Yeah. Let's see here.
I almost played that game the other day. I looked at it for a really long time, and I was like, PlayStation's not plugged in right now, so I did it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Overwatch Pro League. Just kind of a weird little article here. Not really, but Overwatch Pro League attracts New England Patriots, New York Mets owners. That's the title.
It's a weird title.
You could take that title and plug it into the Googles, and you can find the original article that was probably on GameSpot. Because I usually find my initial amount of articles from there, and then from there I just add on to it as I want. Blizzard's reached deals with 6 entities. I'm probably reading copy pasta right now to participate in the not yet launched professional gaming league dedicated to Blizzard's, to Overwatch. According to ESPN, Blizzard has come to terms for teams to be located in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Boston, Shanghai, and Seoul. The buy-in for the San Francisco-based NRG esports team is reportedly $20 million. This was interesting to me. Now, it went on to say that apparently one of the major contributors to the initial funding had dropped out. But the thing is, when they're already talking about tens of millions, who gives a shit? That shit is so there, it's ridiculous, you know? Who would have... I mean, go back 10 years and think about tens of millions being dedicated to esports teams. A team of 5 or whatever. How many can you get on an Overwatch team? Is it 6, 8? I think it's 6 or 8.
I wanted to say 6, but I don't actually know.
6 sounds right. Yeah, I don't care. I don't play it. But the important thing is, yeah, that's a lot of money, you know? And then when you're getting actual, because there was another team that was out there that had, I think Shaquille O'Neal got in on it. There's esports teams out there that people were like, okay, money's being made here. Let me get in on this early, you know? One of those kind of things. So, yeah, this is not going away. Like when I was playing Counter-Strike way back in the day, and it was kind of like, oh, wow, they're actually having leagues where you can because Quake had its stuff, but I think Counter-Strike really definitely stepped it up. And I'm not talking about CSGO, you fucking pleb babies. I'm talking about old school Counter-Strike. I'm such an asshole. But, yeah, Counter-Strike before it became whatever it is currently with all its weird skins and knives and whatnot. But, yeah, it was making big money, you know? And it's definitely really, we're talking about winning $1,000 would have been cool back then. You know, winning 10,000 was holy shit. And now we're talking about teams being bought for, or a buy-in. No, a buy-in, not even the total, just a buy-in. Meaning hey, we could have 5 people on there or whatever limit they want for that, you know. They're just saying, hey, do you want in on this team? This amazing esports team that knows how to play Overwatch? $20 million and you can get in on this shit. Yeah, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy, man. So it's a lot of money. But yeah, that's just not going anywhere. You know, and I always kind of thought that, okay, fighting games, they're probably going to do it. But they never fighting games too, they're pretty big. But I think definitely shooters are going to absolutely, I think they've definitely, you know, or MOBAs for sure. MOBAs definitely trounce the shit out of fighting games, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me move on here. I saw this one thing. Ready Player One film adaptation is about 8 months away. I think Steven Spielberg is on that for directing. It's a 2011 novel by writer Ernest Cline. And it tells a story about a dystopian, of course, future, blah, blah, man-made environmental calamities, blah, blah. Basically, everything's shit. VR is around, you know, and it's virtual kind of thing. So imagine any of those animes where you go in and you know, you're playing the RPG in the virtual world and your real life sucks. So that's the anime. Yeah. And apparently in Player Ready One, the whole thing there is that world that they play around in or whatever. There's some competition where people can figure out all these different puzzles and whatnot. And get to the end of that game, they have a chance of winning the entire game, which is worth everything, apparently, the world. Just I never got interested in it, but I heard about the book and fucking a lot of gaming podcasts, and people were just oh, they talked about it the way Tron used to get talked about, you know, the movie, not Gamertron. So I had to clarify because it's relevant to this podcast specifically. But Tron back in the day, you know, the guy being able, I went into the machine, you know, that kind of thing. So, oh no, Phil's gotten robotic again. Phil is going into the machine.
Again, Phil, you have been roboted.
You're being absorbed. Phil is literally going to become a ghost in the shell.
Maybe Murray's trying to pull him with him.
It's Major Kusanagi. Man, she's hot. All right, Phil.
Murray is like, I am in the ether. Phil,
Murray
you're coming with me.
Him down.
Yep.
And it wouldn't be up; it'd be down. That's poor Sean Murray. I'm sure he's
getting
fine.
married.
I bet he's making a fine salary. You know, yeah, he just has to hide in head in shame and never say what he ever does. You know. That's horrible. You know what? I feel bad for that guy. But, yeah, shit happens, man. Shit happens. And it snowballs out of your own control a lot of the time, too, especially with the internet. You know, people always want to, pin everybody. They want to find somebody to, crucify for sure, you know, because we need to. We need to. Anyways, I think Phil got excited about Ready Player One and getting into the machine. He literally got into the machine.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wait to see if he comes back. Something on my radar there that I didn't realize that even was a thing. But I was browsing through YouTube videos last night, and I saw something for Nine Inch Nails, and I was like, "What? 9 Inch Nails, old band, not old in my mind because I'm old." So apparently, they released a 5-song EP called "Add Violence," featuring "Less Than," which is the name of the song. It's going to be released digitally on July 21st. Now, the important part about that is that song "Less Than" is being played in the background of the video is a video game. And apparently that game comes from an urban legend about the government making a video game that fucked with people's heads. And once you were done playing the game, you were just kind of paranoid and just kind of out of your mind. Stuff like that, kind of goes back to the whole, the government fucking with LSD and, that kind of stuff. Trying to, Project Bluebird, I think, was one of those things with the LSD, where they're trying to, seeing what the mind was capable of and that kind of stuff. So, anyways, kind of interesting. If you're interested in Nine Inch Nails, there you are. If you're not interested in Nine Inch Nails, you can go fuck off. Castlevania producer, and what I mean by Castlevania producer, I mean the Castlevania anime that was released on Netflix, I think last week, if not early this week. I don't have Netflix right now, otherwise I probably would have consumed all of that series.
I think when we mentioned it briefly last week, I think it was that exact same day it released, or within one day. So yeah, about a week.
Yeah. So that guy is going to be working on Assassin's Creed, that franchise for Ubisoft. Going to be making an animated adaptation of that storyline, which is cool. I think that's a great fucking transition from the video game rather than to whatever happened with the movie that it apparently... I think the movie was not enough of the game and not enough for normies. It tried to bridge the gap and it didn't do a good job either way. It wasn't enough of the game like the World of Warcraft movie was apparently. The people said that the World of Warcraft movie was too much of for just gamers. And it wasn't enough for people that weren't into video games and maybe would have been really intrigued by this whole, what's it, time-traveling assassins? I mean, hey, that's a cool sounding movie. We probably have seen something kind of similar in that regard. But an anime or an animated adaptation of a work can break boundaries because you're not limited in a lot of ways because it's all drawn stuff, right? Plus the budget's way less. So if it fails, it's less of a problem. It's the reason why they make TV series as well. Usually a lot less budget involved, blah, blah, blah. So, that's going to come out. And honestly, I think it's probably going to be really good because I think the Castlevania thing was well received. I have not looked at a lot of reviews. I just kind of got the feel of it out there. It seems like it was pretty decently well received. So that guy, and clearly if he's on board to do this new adaptation, then it probably made enough money to where they're like, yes, do more stuff for us. So I like stuff like that. I do. So that's why it was on my radar.
Nice.
That's pretty much what I got. That's pretty much all I got except for Paragon updates, which we can go over. But yeah.
Is this the update that includes the new character?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got a couple of things here for Paragon. I think Phil was giving up the ghost and he's one with the Geth now, as you would say. So if he can't make it back, he did. To be fair, he did say before the podcast started that he was having trouble with his ISP this week, and that earlier today he was having trouble too. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, hopefully we can make it through the podcast, but it looks like no. So yeah, there he is, rip in pieces. Phil once again eaten by the Kraken. Yeah, Paragon has got a bunch of updates going on. Version 42 or whatever they call it, V42. That's going to come out August 8th. That's the huge update. That's going to be a massive update. We talked a little bit about that before. We were talking about like filling out and finalizing the map, number one. There's going to be a rework for Iggy and Scorch, as well as for other heroes. There's going to be more items within the mastery system that are going to be purchasable for rep. So all those people that have like shitloads of rep laying around, they're filling out the mastery system basically. Whereas right now you can get like, you know, the ones you can get like 2 skins, right? If you go all the way up to level 10, you get the I think it's the challenger and then the or like your initiate, challenger, and then master is what it is. So you have those skins. Well, they're going to fill that out even more with other things you can purchase when you buy the mastery, which is like 75k rep. So if you're not familiar with Paragon, a lot of what I'm talking about right now may not interest you, or you may be kind of out of bounds with. Basically, just apply it to any other game that you play where if you get in-game experience, yeah, you can apply that to your character and purchase things like skins or emotes, for example, or even items. Which, by the way, the decks are going to be fully changing. There's going to be no card upgrade. Like you're not going to have like upgrade cards to put into your cards. You know, yo dog, I heard you like cards, so I put cards in your cards. So you have cards that have cards.
What are they going to do with the current upgrade cards?
It's okay. So the cards are going to stay there. Like you're still going to have your current, like, let's say, and what I'm to be fair, let's say you're playing poker and you've got a bunch of cards, right? This is kind of what Paragon looks like. It's like you've got these cards. They have properties on them. The properties do things for you, like give you power, mana regeneration, blah, blah, blah. So now you get the idea. So what you could do with current version of Paragon is you could say, this has power on it, and it also has mana regeneration. And let's say it also has like a passive ability or an active ability that does X, you know, whatever it is, like makes me fly, which doesn't actually happen in the game. But what you could do right now is you could take upgrade cards and stick those into the cards. That basically, so you would have properties like power and mana. You could upgrade, you could add more power, and you could add more mana to it, right? Like, let's say your current value for that property of power on there was 1. I'm not going to use the correct values because it's easier this way. It gives you 1 power, and you have 3 slots on that card. You could then actually take more power cards that are of higher value. Like, let's say, well, this is a value 3 power card. I'm going to stick that into this card that's got the power on it because it says it's got power, so I can do that. That's going to equal 4 power now because it's got 3 on it. The upgrade card's got 3, and the base card has 1. You add it together. Basically, Paragon is a lot of math. So if you hate math, fucking learn it, because people wanted to know in high school, you know, what am I going to use math for? This is what you're using it for MOBAs. Now you know. Learn your maths. It's important because then you can teabag everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What if I don't wanna?
Then you watch YouTube videos on how to like put cards together. So yeah, the decks are going to be like, it's really cool. So there's going to be no cap on the economy. Whereas before, you would get card XP and you get player XP. Well, card XP, they kind of talk about in Paragon as being, they relate it to like StarCraft and Vespene gas or minerals. It's just a resource, right? That's just a resource. But they had caps on the amount of resource that you could get, which was 60 card points. There's no longer going to be caps. And people are like, well, doesn't that mean that you could be more powerful than the other person? It's not exactly. So you should farm your ass off then, right? So because they said that's really the point of MOBAs for them. And maybe that is for other people that play MOBAs. Maybe they understand
Think
and
about
that makes sense.
how much more important jungling is going to be.
Right. Well, how much more important it is going to be to, instead of running around the map like a fucking idiot, to actually try to make sure that what you're doing has a point and purpose. So it's you know,
otherwise you're going to get fucked on.
Yeah, and this is more important if you're very inclined to succeed in the ranking system that will be available once it goes, you know, fully live. Which, by the way, they said by the beginning of next year's their planned hope for it to be live. So they're on a pretty short, like, well, in comparison to other alphas as well, or whatever, they're on a pretty short, like, track as well. You know, they released, like, last year, so I guess 2 years for release, full release. Oh man, that sounds horrible too. But anyways, it's not Borat for release kind. But the important part is, yeah, the decks are going to be, you're going to be able to choose your own affinities for your decks now for any hero. And Emphasize had played with this before, and he was like, "Can I use this deck for this other character?" And currently you cannot. You will now be able to do that in version 42. So let's say I have a ranged ADC, like an attack damage carry is what ADC is, right? Okay, I had to learn all this shit. I had to learn it all. Yeah, let's say I have a ranged carry. And that hero has certain abilities that they can do. And I want to play this other ranged carry that has different abilities they can do. But the deck, which let's say adds power and attack speed and some critical, is actually very comparable and can even be applied to that other range carry. But the only difference is really their abilities, right? And how you play them. Or maybe you play them in the same style and that deck has a particular leaning based on how you build it, you know? You can go ahead and use that deck. The more important thing that really blew my mind, which is going to be fucking amazing, which is the fact that you can choose your affinities. So, like right now, that's a problem for the character Muriel, which I've been playing. I've been grinding on that Muriel lately, right? She is a support class that has been overshadowed by the newer support classes because she is missing a vital thing in her deck. She doesn't have a lot of the mana regeneration or mana or power boosting cards through mana type that the intellect affinity has. She didn't have that. So she doesn't have things that would help to speed up mana regeneration or to turn mana pool into power. Or the other thing that's in Fury, which is basic attacks shorten the time for your abilities, or basic attacks is a card called Armivore, give you mana back. So she's missing a lot because she was an OG. And you know how it goes with characters in MOBAs or any of these games. Warframe's the same way. The original characters usually have the most basic properties because they're trying to appeal to, number one, a lot of people. Number two, they probably didn't have a lot of creative, amazing ideas at that time or didn't know how to implement them yet. So it's a build up over time. So as they're going along, which by the way, there's going to be a new character in 41.3 that's coming out. We're on 41.1, I think, or 41.2, one of those. Well, I think we're 41.2. But Zinx, which I think is going to come out on the 18th? I could be wrong. But
yeah, that sounds right. Tuesday.
The 18th. Yeah, Zinx is like a cat-like creature that was created, whatever. They got some weird, like, 70s kind of exploitation background little video for that. It's kind of weird. Like, Island of Dylan. This is my brain. Island of Dr. Moreau style, kind of like she's a cat woman, but it's all done in like a 70s exploitation, like the Island of Dr. Moreau, and some weird funky music going. Boom, dun, dun, boom,
sounds like some Necro type stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird. It's kind of weird, and I saw the trailer, and they are really having a kick of a time with it. They all I got from that was, like, I watched their latest community update, is these guys are having a good time still. And that's good. It's good when your developers are having a good time and they can show you that, because that means they haven't turned into digital extremes. I'm sorry. That was a low blow.
Woo!
Oh, shit. Sorry.
The opinions of Janser do not reflect the opinions of the B3 Gaming Cast.
Of the other
That's not
members
pretty
of the
disclaimer.
B3 Gaming Cast. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. But it's true, though.
Though
Either
they
way.
might very well do.
Yeah, they may, but there's no guarantee. We just want to give ourselves the out. That's true. But yeah, Zinx is going to be very she's a very interesting character where she has this one key ability where when she takes damage, that damage could actually pulled from her mana be pulled from her mana pool, and she's got very fast mana regeneration as well. So she essentially is going to be very difficult to kill by just dumping damage onto her, as long as her mana pool is still high. But if you keep chipping at her, then she's got nothing, you know? So, or someone like a Bellica, for example, that can throw her drone out, that can suck away mana, you know? So, you know, at first it's going to look like a very difficult character to kill because she is in a way, but you've got to find whatever it is that can, you know, take advantage of whatever weakness that character could potentially have. So you got to counterplay it, right? So, but yeah, that's having these decks. What it's going to do is it means that you're not going to have to have as many decks. Number one, the way I can see it, you know, because right now, if let's say I play a character one way, like very aggressive, and I want a lot of power on it. If I play that same character a different way, where I want a lot more sustain, I have to build 2 decks for that one character that can't be used by any other character, even if I want that same sustain because it's a jungler. Let's say I want more life sustain and I want my junglers to have life sustain, but I want another deck. I have to build like 2 decks for each jungler that I have. Whereas in the future, I might only have to build literally just 2 decks and use that for every jungler I have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you can make either like a class, like a whatever type of thing, like a jungling deck or a tank deck or a power deck or whatever. You can make those, and then you can just apply it to whatever character you want or whatever, which is kind of neat. It's a little bit less work.
Sounds a lot less. Sounds a lot like League, you know.
Right, and that was a problem that people had with Paragon was they were to say a lot of the time that the problem with Paragon is that there is no clear roles for these characters. And the developer said it too. They're like, yeah, it's true. There is no direct counter picks. And we like that. But, you know, you're supposed to be able to build, but it wasn't quite working with that system that they had. So they changed it. And they even say it themselves. They're like, you know, if you first had played Paragon and Legacy, it was an absolutely different game. They're like, imagine if you went into like a restaurant. These are their words. They're like, if you went to a restaurant that we first were serving, like it was a Mexican restaurant when you went in there, you served Mexican food. Then a year later you come back, same restaurant, same everything, but we're serving Indian food now. You know, it's like, yeah, because they're very aware with how much change they're getting, which reminds me of Digital Extremes as well. Basically, it reminds me of like Alpha Type Games. They're very aware of like, we're going to make changes. And I love that. You know, I actually really enjoy that. I like that newness, you know, being added to it. Some people find it very frustrating. They're like, everything I did, it's all for nothing. I was like, okay, I guess so. It's cool though for me though, because I don't mind that because it's a video game and not like my life. Like, imagine if you went and you had, you know, you went to school for X amount of time and you had a degree and then it turned out that, you know, you need a different degree or something like that. That probably pissed you off. Like maybe that degree became useless for some reason. I don't know. That's all I could think of. I was like, if your degree became pointless and you needed to get another degree because that would actually piss me off because that's real life. These are video games.
Yeah, but you know what's the interesting thing though is that some people go to school, get degrees, and that field of work just crashes. You know, like there's no good jobs in it, and then sometimes they go back and get another degree and push on through again. So I mean, like people actually do it in real life. So in the game, I mean, the game doesn't have real life consequences in it. So just, you know, play it and have fun.
Yeah, it's actually very common for people to go to school for one thing and do something totally different. By the way, anyways, but that doesn't mean necessarily like people go back just to get a degree for that other thing. It just happens to be sometimes they. Anyways, not important. My point is, it's the experience most of the time that really matters. Unless really it's just the end goal for you, then there was no real end goal, with Paragon. It's a game that just continually keeps running. I forgot how many characters. One of the guys that I watch on Twitch, he was saying, like, I forgot how many characters. They have like 50 some odd planned, and we're at 32 right now. So they already have these characters planned out. He couldn't talk about them, but like when he went down there.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. They're already, like, he was like, you could see all, and of course you can't, like he knew like all these different things. I was like, how do you get to go to these developer things? That's so cool. But whatever, Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for that. I mean, it's an interesting game, free to play, cross-platform, and that's about that. So a lot of changes going on with that, coming up with that. Yeah, and that's all I have topic-wise, anyways.
Got any, Phil? We're just at 2 hours.
Oh, I did have a couple of things there, like with For Honor developer saying how the drastic drop off of players is fake news. He actually literally said that on like a like a dev stream using that Trump terminology. So he said there was, while delivering a 3-day championship status to players as compensation because they had a recent server outage.
Yeah.
So they were just giving players back something. So he was saying, oh yes, these things are rolling out now over the course of a day, and it'll take a few hours to get to everybody. We have a lot of players in For Honor, believe it or not. Fake news people. We've had players for For So it's kind of like but he didn't give any statistics. So he's basically saying that sites like
you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds to me like, you mad, bro?
Well,
yeah, because
keep like going, Phil. I've got something for it, but keep going.
Yeah, sites like GitHub, though they only use statistics from Steam, they showed that they had like a 95% drop off in their player base, and they outlined that the game had lost 62% of its viewers.
Yeah, we
on streams. So the game definitely has a fall off. Is it as drastic as what it is on Steam? Probably not as drastic, but probably somewhere close, because console players are going to definitely stay with the game a lot longer than the PC players. So, but the mere fact that Steam is a huge market. I mean, you can't use Steam as your only gauge for if people are playing the game or not, but it is a good gauge for if people are playing the game or not, because that's when it comes to PC market, a lot of stuff goes through Steam, unless it's specifically like an EA game or whatever. But even Ubisoft uses Steam, so it's still a decent gauge to say, are things not going well for the game or not.
I think even when this was talked about a long time ago, I think Janzer even made that point that hey, it's not just Steam. Like, the numbers reporting Steam, but there's other places that are not Steam. So it only shows the percentage of Steam, not the entire community. But
yeah, because Ubisoft has their own platform. They know what their numbers are per server. They have to. It's part of their job as the technical.
But to make such a bold statement, and then also tagging to say fake news, in that kind of really retarded way, and then not give statistics, makes you look just as dumb as the people that came up with fake news.
Yep.
If you're gonna counter somebody's argument, you gotta back it up. Bring some facts, bring some statistics to the board. And what's even worse is that nobody has better access to the statistics than somebody that works there at Ubisoft. So it's like, why did you bring the facts?
Everything up immediately. Yep.
Yeah.
Or it wouldn't, because they're correct that it actually would end up reflecting that there is quite a big drop off. Maybe it's not as drastic as 95%, but maybe it's like 60%.
Yeah.
You know,
which is still very bad.
it's very bad. Yeah, because viewership aside, you know, what's popular on Twitch doesn't always. I use it as well, though. I do. I would bring it up quite often because it is a gauge, you know. But is it the be all end all? No. Is it a pretty decent gauge? It's probably a pretty decent gauge given how big Twitch is. But that's not a guarantee of like, you know, what streamers think is a streamable game. You know, because if they find a more streamable game, such as PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, they're going to go to that game and absolutely play the shit out of it, regardless of how popular another game could be.
And then there's the other factor too of that a game could be really fun to play, but it could be boring as fuck to watch. So a lot of people might, when the game first comes out, a lot of people might, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this, and they're like, nah, I'm just gonna go play.
The Division.
All those people might actually. Yeah, a lot of people might just go and play the game, and they don't want to watch streams because honestly, streams of it just are boring to watch. But when you yourself, because that's what video games are, immersing yourself into the environment, you might be like, damn, this game is awesome.
Yeah, there's something lost in translation. Even for me, when I watch The Division, I'm not as interested as when I play it by far.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I experienced on my own stream. I even remember talking about it, how, you know, I loved the game, but I didn't like streaming it because, you know, I got into it, but like a lot of people just didn't seem to have any interest. Like anytime I do a poll, like no one would vote for it. And like my chat seemed less active when I played that game and all that stuff.
I have a theory why.
One of those things. Oh, go ahead.
I think that it has everything to do with the amount of attention focus that it requires and the lack of communication between the streamer and chat that they're used to getting. I think that game is one of the games, which there are a number of games that fall into the same category, that if the streamer is not adapting to what chat needs based on what the game is doing entertainment-wise for their chat, because they haven't been paying attention, and you could start picking up on it the first time that you stream it, but it's better to do it over time. You know, like, have I stopped playing 7 Days to Die because I thought that people thought it was boring? Nope. I adapted how I would interact with people when I played the game, though. When I first started playing it, I didn't necessarily always do everything that I do the last time that I played it, for example. Like I modified my behavior, you know? And even though people can say stuff like, oh, never always stream like it's the same amount of people. And I've said it before. I still believe that it's absolute bullshit. You should absolutely pay attention to your viewer count, unless you're so big that it doesn't matter. But when you're a small streamer, if Phil is the only one or Watusi is the only one in my chat, and they're not actively chatting, then I'm not gonna push them to like try to talk to me. But I will, and I know you know this, Phil. I know you know this, the difference between when it's just like one or two people versus when it's like 10, which is for me a lot of people because I'm a shitty streamer, so 10 is a lot. So I'm like, whoa, yeah, we did it, yes, you know. So I absolutely modify how I handle it. Is it night and day? Probably not, but I give more is what it is. And I think that the Division requires more to get people to understand, number one, what's going on. That game is not exactly very clear to even the people that are playing it some of the time because they're not paying attention to the story, you know. Final Fantasy XIV, I think, suffers from the same thing because it's a pretty in-depth story. And if you're not relating what's going on there to the viewer, and that viewer isn't necessarily in the world of Final Fantasy or the MMO itself, they don't give a shit. You know, they're just like, hey, what are you streaming today? Okay, well, I guess you're busy, you know, because that can happen. I've been to a lot of streams where, you know, even if it's 7 Days to Die, I would go to some streams and I stayed with the people that would actually explain things or whatever. So that's why with 7 Days to Die, I explain a shitload. And that's what, Phil, you said it yourself. You were like, or no, I think I told you, Phil. I was like, or I would say this to chat in general. I'd be like, you know, if you ever play this game, you're going to have this like latent knowledge that's just kind of like subliminally being fed into the top part of your mind. So you'll actually know how to do things just without knowing why you know how, because I was teaching you. It's like, because I would just repeat everything over and over and over, you know.
So now watching you play that game, I feel like I could just pick it up and just go.
Yeah, I don't think it would be perfect.
Right, cool.
But it'd be a lot better than if you didn't know anything about it at all. Or like the Division.
Right, you know what? I need to gather this. I need to go and do that. All right, so I should probably plan for the. Like, I know that, you know, like, all right, this is what I can have to have.
Yeah,
like
you have kind of an
days,
idea.
You know?
Yeah. You can't really translate to the Division unless you play survival mode, where you start talking about what it is you're trying to achieve. But then again, I think that also comes back down to the streamer. Like when Graham plays games, plenty of times in chat, people have said, "Oh man, I love how he explains all this shit." ESO, people drop in. He's like, they'll ask something that's so like is that a troll question? It's so basic, and he's like, "Not a problem. I'll tell you exactly all of the things." And then for the next like 30 minutes later, to an hour, he explains the entire crafting process. That's not an exaggeration.
No, that's true.
But that's lame in comparison to watching Graham playing PvP in ESO.
Of course.
And like this whole battle is like, all right, so we're gonna have to go over here, right? Because they're storming over this side. What we're gonna do? All right, so these guys are gonna. Graham is literally being a soldier, a general.
Yes.
And a teacher.
The downside to that is it doesn't always that requires more focus. But once again, he's adapting to what's working on screen. That, because there's so much more going on, there's already a lot of action. And he's already got to keep his focus where it is. The viewer doesn't necessarily time out because there's already a lot going on. Crafting, on the other hand, not exactly the hottest fucking thing to stream. So explaining the process, explaining what issues he has with the process, with dealing with other players, whatever it is, you know, even when he's doing the challenges are interesting. But what's more interesting is like, what are the challenges for him specifically, other than there being a lot of damage that could be dropped on him? Like, oh, well, there's a lot of damage, but also there's this environmental thing, and I'm going to apply these, I'm going to put on this type of equipment, or I'm going to put these skills on. The explanation is greater because it's required, you know? And I think the Division, when I streamed it, I found that to be an issue too. Like, you have to find the entertainment for people. You can't just stream that game. Or the easiest thing in the Division for people to do, PvP. Because that is interesting, right? And plus you could say, yeah, teabag, bitch, you know, that kind of shit. Get salty.
It's interesting, but it's also kind of mindless.
It's pretty boring to me, honestly.
Yeah. One kind of formula to work, and then the most you can get is people asking, you know, all right, how do you do your build and that? So it's
pretty static.
It's so easy. Yeah, it's very easy to. You could pretty much be numb and just kind of work off of just memory of what interactions would be like against other players, and then just focus on chat, because it's just a repetitive thing. You just
I don't know. I watched a lot of PvP, and I will say that a lot of the instances were variable based on like, you never really knew. That's the whole point of that, right?
Yeah, but there were only
like a challenging epic mode in the Division, like let's say a raid. What you just said actually applies directly to that. You know pretty much when the waves are going to come out. You know what to expect. You know how to build for it. I think the attraction there for me is completing that challenge and gearing up and executing. The interest in PvP goes back to that thing that I was talking about the other day about like why PvP and multiplayer is so important right now to people, is because it retains their attention longer, because it makes them feel like they're playing something new every time, but it's the same game. You know what I mean? Like they're getting the feeling of something new within the same game without having to have new DLC, because the instances are changing based on the people that they come across. So that does get old because there's only so many reactions that people are going to have that you fight against. But still, that's the big attraction to developers right now. They know that can retain an audience, and they don't have to do as much work, you know?
Yeah. Well, my thing with the Division, though, is that as different as like interactions or instances with you and other enemies might be, it was always like depending on your build, your gear set, or whatever you had on, you had a specific formula, and you just knew that, all right, if this person does this, this is your counter, or if they don't do it, you can go in this way. So it was very straight line in terms of that kind of thing.
PvP has its meta. It has its meta.
People had their specific, exactly what I was going to say.
But so does PvE.
Meta, so.
You know, people would go in there and say that PvE was too easy because really the problem with PvE was not necessarily that it was too easy. It's just that the builds that were capable of quote unquote melting were overpowered enough to walk through the challenge that was presented without need for tactics, because they literally could just say, well, like with Paragon right now, the problem is just add power to it. just how do I build it? Oh, just put power. Health. Yeah. Yeah. Just more power. Just more power. It's like how I built my Dark Souls 3 character. What did you? Oh, I just strength. 50 strength. No, what about health? No, it's strength. But actually, even that character is more difficult to play because, unlike in the Division before, which I think it's changed a bit, there was no real downside to going like high damage because you could still get a lot of like armor, you know, and health. But with Dark Souls, you had to actually, it was like if you go high strength there and you go no health, yeah, you're fucking yourself. You know, there's some way that you're going to have to like lean, because if you go high health and high armor, high health and high strength in Dark Souls 3 specifically, you're not going to get your dex anywhere near. So that's going to limit you out of certain weapons. So, you know, are you going to try this quality build where you're kind of balanced? People are like, no, never do that, because then you're not going to win in PvP. You know, everything's got its thing. Somewhere Volts is like, my ears hurt for some reason. Somebody's speaking about Dark Souls PvP without me? Yeah, he's raging for no reason right now. He doesn't know why. Oh, God.
Yeah.
But I think that games getting back to so we can quit this. But yeah, I think games like The Division, or games that are more like ESO, games that aren't maybe necessarily the it thing, or that you know, people are attracted to, they require more from the streamer. And it's unfortunate to say that, but it's the truth. And I don't want to put it on streamers, but it's the fucking truth. So. Yeah,
there's a lot of time where the visual stuff that's going on in the game is more intrinsically rewarding for the doer.
Correct.
And not really rewarding in much of any experience for the viewer. Yeah. And so you have to add to that experience for someone that's viewing.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys watched PUBG?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it. Every now and then.
I've seen some, but I've watched a lot of those types of things. So
I've watched a few hours worth of PUBG. I've watched some on YouTube and I watched some streams. And to me, it's boring because there's so much rides on the end point. Not enough.
There's a good portion where nothing is happening because you're just hiding out or whatever.
Right.
Because that's the way you limit it. You let all of the people who are foolish run into each other and murder each other.
Right.
And then when you get down to the very small bit, then it picks up. But that's like a 45-minute, hour-long thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is what I don't have to deal with Paragon, even though I have to build up power. There's always a fight going on in Paragon if I want it. So,
but
you know,
one thing I will say though that I found entertaining with one streamer when I watched was that he got, because you know some of these streamers or YouTubers can get if they like get in contact with the creators of the game, they can get like servers and stuff set up, private servers for them so they could play with their subs. One guy did was he knew that he would get dominated by his viewers and his subs and whatever, because those people were playing better than him, and he just playing it for fun. So he would turn it into a showcast. So he would go in, he would do his thing, and then he'd get killed, and then he would just say, all right, cool. He would just switch to the mode where he could just see the map, see the different cameras, and he'd say, okay, now such and such is going up against it. Oh, he doesn't see anything coming up behind him. Oh, this is going to be... And that made, honestly, that turned the boring, now watching one person playing PUBG into like a totally different kind of like... I felt like they were in this arena, and this, you could really see how the circle, because you're seeing the bigger picture. But just seeing it from one person's perspective is like, run here and hide. I'll wait there for like 5 minutes.
So he did what I said needed to be done, you know?
Yeah.
And I've watched enough, and maybe this is me just being critical, because I'm always fucking critical. It's true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. But when I watch stuff, I'm like, wow, this is actually really boring. And they don't even realize how boring it is. The action does happen at those intense points, but everything for the viewer is not tense. It's tense for the player, because they're like, shit, I don't know what's in this building. Wow, I don't know if I... But the viewer is just like waiting for something to happen. We're not like sitting on that, what's in that building? We're like, okay. Is anybody in there? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you should just move and go check.
Yeah, just go in there, dude. Fucking come on, man. We've been waiting for something to happen for fucking 30 minutes already. It does. Like I did that shoutcasting thing once. It was really fun. I know it was for like some PvP thing in Warframe a long time ago. I had a great time doing it personally. But yeah, that's back on the streamer, like, you know, making it interesting. But and there's plenty of streamers that do that, clearly. Otherwise, certain games like that would not get popular. And just also happens to capture the attention of like enough people to where they feel that it's exciting to them. What's better between that and ESO PvP? Honestly, I like ESO PvP because way more is going on. Like there's more tactics involved. There's 3 large factions, but it's harder to get in on ESO PvP than it is where everybody starts at ground level 0 on PUBG. And you just find whatever they find. I don't like that. I don't like the RNG aspect of it either, honestly. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like, so the fact that I could lose because I have a shotgun and you got a sniper rifle? Yeah.
I don't
that's
like
not
the
a good
RNG
time
aspect. For me. I don't like the RNG aspect, but I like the fact that it adds more dynamic to the game where somebody could win who wouldn't normally win because everybody just gets this gun and everybody's on this even playing field, but they're not because this person comes from a Counter-Strike background, so they can just pick up people really quickly. But, you know, it kind of is one of those things where it's like, either you like it or you don't like it. Yeah. And it shakes it up and gives people a chance that might not necessarily get a chance to win.
That's true.
And then,
I agree with that. Absolutely. And I've seen a lot of people that were like, I won this thing. And I'm like, maybe I could win, but I'm still not interested at all. I just see that as like so much time needed to get your nut off.
Yeah. That's it. If you're into it, you're into it. It's not my kind of game. I saw that and I was like, nope, I'm not going to play that.
Yeah.
But
anyways.
Jumping on to, switching past.
Yeah.
Just dropping one of my topics and just going to like this last one. So there's a folk singer, songwriter, who's suing Bethesda over the use of his song.
We talked about it last week, Phil. You missed it.
Oh, you did?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting to hear where you were going with that because you said something slightly different word-wise than what I...
He said folk song, which we didn't even talk about the genre.
Interesting.
DeMarco or something with a D or something.
Don DiMucci.
Yeah, DiMucci, that's the one, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But did any of y'all watch the...
What are your thoughts?
The commercial? Go ahead.
Yes, I did.
The way that he worded it, saying that it was, you know, this dark dystopian landscape and violent and gory, killing for sport. And I was like, I looked at it, we went back and watched it, and I was like, because it's like from 2015. And I looked at it, I was like, it doesn't look like he's having, because you can't see the face, and it doesn't look like he's doing it for a blast. Like just running around, woohoo, guns blazing, like
You know,
What's that guy with the Bugs Bunny? Pew, and he just got the two guns, pew 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 in the air.
they gotta make
that.
they gotta make it. You know, they gotta make it sound like the worst thing in the fucking world. Though it's a lawsuit. It's not even. Yeah, I agree with you. I do, but it's also a lawsuit.
That guy. There was something that died. It was the most awful, goriest experience. It just tragically killed innocent people and ripped them to shreds.
After, and I need money.
Just smeared the blood all over their face and prayed to Satan and listened to rock music.
Because they got to step it up so far that they can back down. You know.
Yeah, but then when you add on something where you say, as a result of this, I believe that this ad damages my image by having my music. It's like, say what? Really?
Yeah.
No.
I can agree with them there.
People are going to associate that game with that song, especially people who have only heard that song associated with that trailer.
Yeah, that guy comes from a different time period. You know, think about that. That's like 50s type stuff. It's not exactly maybe what he perceives himself to be. You know,
I understand.
Either way,
I understand. No. I understand why some people would feel that, but that's a backward. Well, not backwards. That's an old way of seeing things.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Coming from something, like I listen to a lot of hip hop, and I see some samples that sometimes guys sample music that's a completely different language, and it's saying something completely different than they say something, but it sounds really good and it flows.
Well, that's also why like people that's
not damaging that person's image.
Well, but that's not necessarily what those people think either, and you know that because that's why they try to like hide or warp those samples a lot of the time too, because they're trying to. I mean, you know, it's like, where'd you pull that from? That sounds real fucking familiar. I mean, you changed the pitch of it and you changed the speed of it, but I'm pretty sure I know where that's from. That one funk album, you know, or whatever. But
you can do that, but you still have to pay royalties.
It became like that, but it wasn't initially. But yeah, because some people were like, "Look, I don't want that. I don't want you taking my shit." Granted, this guy signed a fucking contract.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, but he does say that in the contract that the contract said that he has the right to renegotiate. Well, was it?
He had the right to like adjust the script of whatever it was they were working on. He had like last say or something like that.
Yeah, basically anything that wanted to use his music, he was allowed to review it, look at it, and say, "Well, no, I don't want it to be used for this.
Yeah,
could you change it to this?" And apparently, he's claiming that Bethesda
didn't give him that.
Didn't contact him in regards to that. So
yeah, I don't mean to like be sure. It's just that we went all over this already, so I'm like, yeah.
We covered the details of the thing. So yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like we understand like, oh, you being associated.
We even attacked all the angles too. I know that's why I'm like,
people are gonna look at this and whatever, but then largely we are like, whatever, bro.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a fucking California lawsuit.
The other thing that I was actually going to skip was where Nier Automata is actually now finally getting its first Steam update. Like, because apparently the Steam version was giving a lot of users, a lot of people with AMD cards as well, mainly a lot of issues running the game. So remember we had talked about a guy that made a fix for the game, but then he also put in something that would detect hackers and tell them, hey, no, you gotta buy the game. Can't use my thing with it. But basically, they're now working with AMD. Well, Square Enix and Platinum Games are now saying that they're working with AMD to solve some of the issues, because these issues can't be resolved only by their end. They have to deal with the manufacturers of these graphics cards and whatever.
Wait, what was the exploit again? Or what? I'm missing like.
No, I missed what the problem was. The problem is that the game doesn't run properly on a lot of PCs.
In what way? I'm just wondering, like, is it frame rate related or?
Yeah, I think
probably like performance and
frame rate, performance.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's causing some to crash as well. I don't have that. I haven't had any issues with my system, so it ran perfectly smooth on mine. So maybe I just was lucky that my configuration worked. But a lot of people were having a lot of frame rate and issues running the game.
And it's a PC related thing, clearly, because consoles wouldn't have that issue.
No, they don't have that issue.
It's the variability of all the parts. Yeah.
Yeah, but the main thing about that is that this is 4 months down the line that they're not actually addressing that issue. So it's like 4 months have gone by. People have been complaining about this. Only random people that decide to come up with fixes for it that don't really fix it 100%.
Dark Souls? What?
We're doing? Yeah, exactly. It's a very Dark Souls type situation. Is like,
which, by the way, to this day, still never received an official patch. The way that people still fucking run like a dude's patch that he made just to get the game to run at 60. All to get to have the options on P. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yep. And hey, props to everybody that likes their Dark Souls and stuff. But me personally, I'm not gonna look at a game like that. I said I can buy it. I'm not buying that game. I'm not supporting a game like that. I'm not saying I wouldn't support the development of other games that they put out if they put them out properly. But that game, I would, even if I ever thought and I wanted to play Dark Souls, the first one, I would not, because if that's what I'll go through to play your game, no.
It's true. It's true. I agree. The only reason I bothered was because I bought it so fucking cheap that it was like, this ain't gonna hurt me. Plus, I'm a PC person anyways, and I'm used to all this shit, But that aside, I don't recall there being any outcry about issues for Nier Automata at all.
There were. It's just that the game was such. But again, they were.
Like, I listen, I said, and I just say that based on like reading stuff, articles, listening to podcasts and stuff like that, and watching YouTube videos. And usually, if anything's a problem, Nier Automata, some fucking asshole on YouTube's going to make a huge deal out of it. So,
but don't forget to remember the same guy that created the fix for it. Oh, he got some heat from people that were saying, "How could you put this thing that checks to see if I'm running a cracked version of the game or not?" So the mere fact that became big news was the fact that a lot of people were using his fix for the game. So it did affect a good percentage of people that bought the game on Steam or ran a hacked version of the game.
If you brought that up before, it was such a small thing that pinged my brain that I didn't even think too much about it, because I was probably thinking to myself, it's a positive thing that he's doing. So, and then I just probably wrote it off because I didn't find other data out there that supported there being a problem. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you probably have to go into the Steam. You got to drudge through all the foolish reviews on Steam to probably find
the thing is, Steam
people.
Stuff as it is, like Steam messages that get added, a lot of the times those are from like, my game doesn't work. Did you turn your computer on? Huh? So you have all that garbage too, where people don't understand technology
in any way, shape, or form.
Right? Or like, I don't know how to get this thing. Did anyone go to the Switch is right next to the fucking level right there, dude. It's not a broken game. It's just right there. There's all that kind of. I mean, sometimes I don't know certain things in the game, and I'll look it up. I'm like, is this a bug or did I miss something? And I'll go and look, and I'll come across like other people that have had the same issue, but nobody has an actual correct answer. Turns out it wasn't the problem that we thought it was initially, and it was something else totally different. But so yeah, it's hard. Data, there's too much of it out there, right?
Okay.
No, sorry, that was a problem. Joke about something else I'm not bringing up today. Anyways,
those are my topics.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that Nier Automata thing because I need some more notes for it, anyways. But I want to see what the issues were and if it was AMD only or NVIDIA as well.
I believe it was more than AMD, because they did mention that they're working with other hardware.
And the only other one is
as well. But AMD seems to be the main issue. People with AMD cards, Well,
that's unfortunate. Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, well, think we're done. Volt shows up at the end, says hello. See, I told you he was triggered somewhere.
He ran all the way home from wherever he was.
Just to say he's sorry. There you go. And if that didn't sum it up, you know what? I think I need to change the title, right? We've been absorbed by the Geth. I like that.
Oh, that's so good.
That was Phil saying goodbye or something else. We can't quite tell. We don't speak machine language yet. Don't worry, we will get it assimilated. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Holy shit! Have a.
Say goodbye, Phil.
Oh my God, that is beautiful. Thanks, everyone. We will see you later.